brutalized by the other guys. And I just had enough of it one time. I refused to fucking do it. I just walked out. I was like, fuck this. Like, because it was basically random teams, and I had to be on the fucking team. And every time I was on the team, I was blamed for the team sucking, even though the rest of the team would actively avoid me. I'm like, it's not my fault that you don't include me in the team. You can't blame me, for the failure when it was all of you cunts failing, and me just sitting here and watching you play. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go watch you play from fucking way over there on the stand. And so they were like, well, you can't actually skip PE, mate, it's an important lesson. I was like, I know, so what's the remedy here? And they're like, oh, you can go play rounds with the girls, right? Thinking it'd be highly emasculating. I'm like, alright, fuck it, I'll go play rounds with the girls. Kicked all their fucking asses! Crushed it! It didn't matter what I was doing, like fucking, oh man. Was it, I remember one time I went up to bat, and this chick I fucking hated was the one pitching, and she fucking threw the ball. I mashed that fucking thing so goddamn hard. It flew back at her and knocked her straight in the fucking face. She went down like a fucking sack of potatoes, and I was just casually walking around the bases like, yeah, what now, bitches? What now? It was just fucking hilarious. Like, you can't do that. They're just girls. I'm like, they'll do it to me. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah, yeah. First chance they get.
But my team's like, come on! Yay! I score every single point. So it makes sense now that now I'm trans, So I couldn't quite compete with all the guys physically, but with the women I could actually compete with them. And for the most part, come out on superior. Some of them were actually really good athletes. It was just funny though. I was the only guy who actually got to go into the women's changing room because the fucking what was it? The teachers actually part of the thing was you had to when you set up you had to remove all the equipment. So none of the girls would fucking do it because they're lazy cunts. And so I'm just left there standing there fucking the female fucking PE teachers and like, well, I can help you, but that means I got to go into the fucking women's changing room because all these topless women are like, well, seeing as they're fucking lazy, is there a damn problem?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Is that over in the States, was it?
no, that was over in England.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was just fucking great. Cause like, hey, came in here. It's like, I'm actually here doing your fucking job, so yes, I'm actually allowed to be in here.
Yeah.
Fuck. Pat.
But the double standard of it all is just too much. And every time, and this is what like makes me laugh all the time. You say to someone, like women, for the most part, because they always want to get into some sort of conversation. Always, you go somewhere, they see you, just like a moth to a flame, just gotta come over and they just try to like suck the energy. And like they start talking, and then you say to them, it's quite funny how in 2015, you've got this degree, you say you've got this, you say you've got that. Yet the simple premise of non-contradictory identification, you still can't quite grasp. Do you see what I mean? It's like if a woman is able to go up to a guy and slap him for no apparent reason, and if we're in 2015, you say that women are just as equal as men. So the guy should be able to slap the woman back with no repercussions. Because if you're brave enough to inflict harm on one side, and we say that we're not back, in the 1910 or 1920s or whatever, however those times were, then we can now surmise to say it's okay for the guy to strike back. But yeah, they wanted to say. Laughable. I love it.
I had this problem on my first date. Like my first date ended really well. The whole thing was a fucking nightmare. But the ending was just even worse. Basically, I went to it was a double date between me and my best friend and this girl and her best friend. And it was my friend set it up and whatnot. So I never met this girl before. And she actually didn't like me too much. She didn't have the balls to admit it right off the bat. I would have actually appreciated that. But no, she decided to get free fucking free dinner at the movie, right? So instead of having me amicably ending the date and just basically not calling me, she decided that she would want to sleep with my friend, her friend's date, and have a threesome with them in my fucking bed, right? And the easiest way to do this was simply to fucking try and brain me with a fucking with the claw hammer. So fucking because I was in the middle of repairing my apartment, because I think I just moved in at that time. We were busy doing repairs because it was a fucking flop house before. And so fucking she's all trying to mash my head in with this thing, and I'm like, I've told the story to women, and they're like, oh yeah, well maybe we did something wrong. I'm like, the only thing I did wrong was fucking let her in my life at all. Like I didn't instigate any violence at all. And they're like, no, it's gotta be my fault. It has to be my fault for doing this shit. I'm like, no, I'm a perfect fucking gentleman. Everything that is expected of you. And this bitch was like, nah, I'll just fucking kill him instead. That's the easy way to get to it. I mean, and then she was so disappointed, apparently, with my conduct. I had like me and my friend had to wrestle her off of me. That's how fucking crazy she was. She was so pissed off about the whole thing. She called her girlfriends to fucking basically fucking just swing around and assault me, like fucking randomly. I had to stand there and take that, and my friend's like, what the fuck, fight back? And I'm like, because mate, the second I swing at them, I've lost. I've fucking lost immediately. Every fucking guy they fucking talk to, I'm finished. I'll be getting the broken fingers and shit like that, you know? So I just had to stand there and like fucking this group of cunty women kick my ass, and I'm just like, alright, fine. I was like, now I'm a tranny, I'll fucking stomp their heads.
Yeah.
I'll go Edward Norton style on their ass.
Yeah, there's all these guys that try to act like if you're a transgender that you can't actually compete with the women because you have some advantage. And they've actually done a bunch of studies and shown that if you take hormones for 2 years, after 2 years you basically lose all your bone mass, all your muscle mass, and all your strength, and you compete equally after that with females.
Yeah, I was trying to explain this to some guy on the group Exposing Feminism. They really fucking don't like me over there for other reasons. One of the reasons is I used to start fights in their comments with their regular members, even though I was one of their oldest regular members.
Yeah.
One of the things was it was fucking basically it was the whole Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner thing, whatever.
Yeah.
And so people were like, oh well, you know, it was Fallon Fox and all that shit. Because there was Ronda Rousey bitching about how, I'll take on a man, but I won't fight Fallon Fox because, you know, she used to be a man. You know,
yeah, exactly. You could fight her. Yeah. Everybody's like, she's gonna beat her ass because she's a woman. And it's like, well, no. After a lot of guys actually think that. Some people have actually thought that. They're like, well, I'm like a long distance runner or something like that. And once I get to now that I've transitioned, I can compete with the women and I'll beat everybody and I'll be like the best woman runner. But they've been on hormones for like 3 years. And then they get out there and they start to realize they're on an equal footing. They're just as they have no advantage over any women. And a lot of people don't realize that. They think, well, you were born anatomically a man, so that means you're always going to have something over women, even if you take female hormones. And they don't get it. They just don't understand.
I explained it as being physiologically female. And this one dickhead just would not fucking let it go. He's like, no, because you have like longer legs and shit. Like, you do realize your bones actually compress. Like, I've lost 1.5 shoe sizes. I fit in much smaller shoes now because my feet have fucking shrunk. Because my bones have fucking become more compact and whatnot.
Yeah, you lose muscle mass, you lose bone marrow, you lose bone mass, you lose like a lot of stuff, but you gain like an ass. So a lot of times because you get the hourglass shape, when you buy clothes or jeans or something like that, a lot of your clothes that you had will actually not fit you anymore.
Yep.
And the funny thing about this is, like, when I was in college, I went to a college called City in Islington, and I remember back then I had a few, a lot of female friends, a lot of male friends, and I remember there was like, it was just then that certain guys had the courage to come out to say that they were gay or homosexual or whatever. And then I remember a female friend of mine sort of like sat with this guy in a canteen and they were both checking guys out. And I went up to her, I said, you do know what's going to happen, don't you? She goes, what? I said, like, this guy that you're talking to, eventually, he's going to take away your boyfriend. And she said, how do you work that out? I said, just look at it. Even back then, The guy was light skinned, he was good looking, you know, he was quite immaculate, you know, and all of this sort of stuff. And like I said, he seems to be a lot more feminine than even you are, even though he wasn't like, you know, dressed in female clothing, but you can see how his mannerisms were quite, you know, alluring. And I said, I bet you in the future, these guys are going to take over. And by Jove, 2015, I was right, you see. Plus I worked in a prison for like 7 years. And I can see the transition, how a lot of these women, they just don't have it in them. So it's like what you just said earlier on, like, you know, because now, you know, you're transgender, if I'm correct. Now you're able to do what you couldn't do when you were just as a guy or a regular guy. So now the table is the table. This is what I love, you see. I like this because there's nowhere to hide for women anymore.
Well, that's what's funny. I told a story not too long ago. Actually, they're saying now they've actually literally, it costs like $200,000 to $400,000, but there's a surgery right now where they can actually give you a dead guy's penis and all his balls and everything. There's actually surgery right now for that, which means trans men, female to male, can have a penis. And also, within the next 5 years, they're saying they're going to be able to do the same thing for trans women and give them a womb. Which means all these people that are like, you're never going to be a real woman because you can't have like a period and you can't like have kids and all this stuff. That's all going to be changing in the next 5 years. So we're basically transgender women are going to basically, besides the ones that are fuckheads and want to be like feminists, they're going to actually make women obsolete. You know, because I always talk about it. The transgender women, most of them are trying to be like uber feminine, and a lot of women nowadays want you to not criticize them for trying to look like a lesbian. They want to wear pants and they want to wear like t-shirts, and they don't want to put on makeup, and they don't want to like shave their legs, and they don't want to do anything for a man. And if you say anything, you're shaming them, and you're not allowed to do that. But then you go to a transgender woman, and she's like completely shaved everything on her body. She wears makeup, she wears ball gowns, she wears high heels, and she's trying to look very like beautiful, like a woman would have in the 50s or 40s. And a lot of guys like that. And women want to try to make shame you for liking that, but transgender women don't. You know, so they're putting them out,
pushing them right towards my loving arms.
Exactly. Like if a woman is stupid enough to have a transgender girl as a friend, as soon as her boyfriend gets a look at that transgender girl, he's going to be like, "Fuck my girlfriend. That girl's hot." You know.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's what's going to happen.
Are willing to let go of the fact that because I'm not getting bottom surgery, I'm only getting castration done. They're actually willing to let go of the fact that you have male genitalia. They just don't care.
Yeah.
It's because it's the sum of the parts kind of argument. You know, it's like, oh well, she's got a dick. Yeah, but look at that fucking ass. Look at them fucking tits. She's beautiful. You know, right height, fucking proportions, all that shit.
Yeah, look at her in heels when she walks around. She looks like a fucking supermodel. You know?
So just explain that. So just explain that, because I don't know the terminology. So you're just having castration, not bottom surgery. What does that mean exactly?
Bottom surgery is when you get full sexual reassignment surgery.
Yeah, when you have like a vagina and everything. The thing is like if you keep your testicles, then you still produce testosterone, which means you're going to have to take testosterone blockers for the rest of your life. But if you have your testes removed, then you stop producing testosterone, which means you can be on a lower dose of hormones, female hormones, and you don't have to like medicate yourself into oblivion, because in some cases taking testosterone blockers and then the hormones can actually give you blood clots. So if you can stop taking a lot of the medicine and like go from 4 milligrams down to like 2 of estradiol, then you can actually be much more healthier, and you'll look more feminine as well, because you'll start to lose a lot of your male features by not having the testosterone even in your system.
Yep. And I have a unique case because I actually started transitioning because I wanted to get castrated first. Like I actually kind of like bounced the idea around for a while, or bounced the idea. And I was like, well, the only argument against was that if I was with someone who basically, oh sorry, I'm making a cup of tea. If I was discombobulated. If I was with someone who wanted me to top them, then if I was castrated, that wouldn't fly. That would be a relationship killer. But then I just stopped giving a shit about that, and I was like, I'm actually going to consider getting castrated anyway, just say fuck it. And I was like, well, I'll probably end up growing man tits and being a little bit effeminate, or even more effeminate. And I'm like, well, I've already cross-dressed before. So I was like, well, maybe I should go see a gender therapist to kind of move this forward. And then when I talked to him, he's like, you're one of the most advanced cases of transgender I've ever had. He's like, I'm like, oh, okay, cool, sweet. So we came to that realization really fucking quickly. And I've moved forward really with it. I've been much happier. Oh my god. Ever since going on, I basically said to make sure that I don't make a mistake on this, because that's the whole thing. They're like, if you make a mistake, talk it back. And I think only 1% of trannies that actually go regret it after the fact.
Yeah, that's the thing. Just like with feminism, they always there's people that will be on the TV and they'll say, well, there's these people that don't want to transition, or they did transition and later they realize they didn't want to, and they'll grab onto those cases. But the fact is they're just in the U.S. alone. They estimate right now. I recently heard the estimate was 700,000. There's 400,000 out, but there's an estimated 700,000, some that haven't came out or that are living in stealth. And those people are the ones that they'll grab onto those few. There's very few, like out of every, say, 50,000, there might be 2 or 3 that detransition. And they'll grab a hold of those 2 or 3 and say, we can't give all of them transgender medication, and we can't do all of it because they might be making a mistake. And it's like the vast majority are not making a fucking mistake. It's those few people that are fucking it up for everybody, and they're trying to make it harder for us to be transgender, so that's just because of those 2 or 3 few people that are detransitioning and saying they actually didn't want to be females or males.
I actually want to find out if what the percentage of people who avoid the system basically go and do it on the black market, as opposed to people who actually go through all the channels like I'm doing. Like I insisted on having doctors look over my shoulder for every step because I didn't want to hurt myself. I know a girl who actually got pancreatic cancer because she OD'd on hormones.
Yeah, I have a friend on YouTube that's actually done that. She's living in America right now, but she's like Spanish or something. She's from Spain, I think, or something. And she's really pretty, but she's self-medicated for like 2 or 3 years. And then she finally was able to go into a doctor, and she said that all of her everything was fine, but she was getting on like a website, and she watched so many other people's videos about their medication, because you're not supposed, they say, I don't know if it's actually true, they say you're not supposed to get on like YouTube and tell other people your medication dose, because you might actually cause somebody to kill themselves, because they might get on something and then get brain damage or blood clots or something and die. So people get on there and they just say, I'm on spirolactone and I take this twice a day, but they don't say they're like how much. But if you look at enough videos of people doing that, you'll find out what people are starting to take when they first start taking it, how they take it, when they take it, and all that stuff. So if you watch enough videos, you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. And then if you self-medicate, you'll know how to start. But even though you're not doing blood tests and finding out where your testosterone is at or whatever, you can kind of go off of what they're doing. So they'll start the testosterone blockers, and they'll take that for like 5 or 6 weeks, and then they'll start taking hormones, and they'll start with like really little amounts, and they'll kind of move their way up to like no more than 4 milligrams, and they'll kind of use that as self-medication. But the problem is you can still get into trouble with that. Like I heard some girl today, there was this really pretty girl that got on there, and she acted like she knew what she was talking about, and I think she's actually self-medicating, because she said she's taking 4 milligrams twice a day.
That's going to fucking lead to some kind of organ failure.
Yeah, she said she's taking spirolactone, and she's taking estradiol, and she's taking estradiol 2 times a day or 3 times a day. And she said, I don't know. She said, like, some people tell me that that's wrong and I shouldn't do that, and blah blah blah. But then she said, like, my what's changed in my body has happened so quickly, and it's so drastic. And I was like, yeah, you're taking fucking like 8 milligrams of fucking estradiol. Of course you're gonna see some major changes, but you're also probably gonna get dead from that, because that will actually cause blood clots. You'll get fucking dead from doing that. And that's why I say lots of them, like, they think, like everybody, like when they take, drugs and shit, they think like a little's good. If a little's good, a lot's better. So, if 2 milligrams of fucking estradiol gives me breast, well, then I want a size D, so I'm going to take 6 milligrams. So that a lot of people think that way. When you're talking about hormone drugs, you're talking about, you don't need much in your system to change things around.
Oh, no.
But if you put a lot in your system, you can kill yourself. And a lot of things, it'll start shutting down your internal organs. You'll start having problems with your heart. You'll have problems with your kidneys, with everything, your brain, everything.
I actually kind of went against my doctor's orders. I don't give a shit for recording this one, so I'm actually going to talk about it next month. I was supposed to be on a certain dose of spironolactone. See, I didn't say what the dose was, because you told me that.
Yeah.
But I'm on a certain dose, and I actually cut it in half, because it's making me fucking really, really, really tired. Like, I'll pass out. But the thing is, it's basically like a fake kind of narcolepsy, because I can't sleep when I want to. It's whenever the fuck my body wants to. So then I cut back. But then, what the good thing is about this, I looked up to get my bottom surgery a couple of days ago, because my boss was asking about it. He wants to know when that's going through, so we can plan, that shit at my work. Really supportive company. I love my company.
Yeah.
And so I was telling him, I was just like, hey, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to have to basically have my doctors write my letters so I can get it done in April, anywhere between April to August. But they say they require a year, but if you have extraneous circumstances, then you can actually accelerate it a little bit. And the only condition I don't meet is being full-time for a year, because I've been full-time outside of work for a year. It's inside work, I've only been about half that time, but otherwise it's been nearly the full 2 years.
Yeah, well, that's something like I've been, like, when you watch the Caitlyn Jenner interviews and stuff like that, and she was talking and she was saying to Katie Couric that she wasn't going to tell anybody when she got the bottom surgery and all that stuff. I'm a psychologist, and I can read between the lines, and when she said that, right after that, she had left and got off for like 2.5 months, and she had her facial feminization surgery that they said it took 10 hours, and that she got worried afterwards, and she went a little bit nuts and stuff like that. Well, those are common problems that you have when you have bottom surgery, and you have to have been on transgender medication, hormones, for over a year to get that surgery. And at that time, when he did that interview with her, he said he was on hormones for a year and a half.
See, I've been on Spiro for a while now. I took Spiro for about a year just to see if I liked lifestyle without testosterone.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see what it was like to be more fucking fatigued. I wanted to see what it was like to have a lesser sex drive, and all that kind of shit. Yeah, because it basically everything without the tits. Although I was a really advanced case, like I said earlier. I actually started growing tits just on Spyro.
Yeah.
My dog didn't believe me until I whipped my shirt up. She's like, "Holy fuck, you have tits!"
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. anomaly case. But yeah. So so it's technically true, but I haven't been full time in my lifestyle. But it's like most of the time. I mean, well, I don't actually go into my office a lot.
That's why I think Caitlyn Jenner has already had the surgery.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah, I mean, and she's not going to tell anybody, but I think she's already had the bottom surgery, and that's why it took 10 hours, and that's why you didn't see her. I think all she really had was a facelift, and I think she had a boob job done at the same time. So she had a boob job and she had a facelift, and then she had the bottom surgery, and then they said it was just a facial feminization surgery.
Yeah, see, I'm not having either one of those done. Fuck that.
Yeah. I think more than likely all she did was have like a nose job or something like that, and then have her facelift, which made her face look different. And then she went and had and then she didn't want anybody to know, and she probably had them sign a bunch of stuff to where nobody would say, because she didn't want anybody to know. And then she went and did all the face surgery to kind of throw people off. Because a facial feminization surgery doesn't take 10 hours. It takes about 4 hours.
Yeah. It's I know people have got it done.
Yeah, and the gender sex reassignment surgery takes about 6 to 7 hours. So if you look at that, plus a boob job, they can do a boob job and be doing like the facial surgery while they're doing the bottom surgery.
They get basically multiple doctors, don't they?
They could have like 3 or 4 doctors there. They could have one doing the breast augmentation, and then when he's done, he could be doing the facial feminization surgery, and then while they're doing that, the other guy's down at the bottom doing all his stuff, getting everything done. So I mean, they could do it really quickly, and then they're like, well, I just got facial feminization surgery, but I think she actually didn't. I think she actually got bottom surgery.
Yeah, we're trying to put over on this whole thing about talks about training, man. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. That tends to happen when I get like a couple trans people on there. They want to talk. It's hard. We don't have a lot of people to talk to.
Yeah, we really don't. Especially others who actually know a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah.
We were saying about facial feminization surgery real quick. Fucking one of the, with regards to doing fucking surgery on the black market as opposed to going to a doctor, the thing that I really fucking appreciate about my doctor is that he actually refuses to sign off on any of that shit. Because he's like, you don't need it. He's like, I will flip a shit if you go get it done without me. I was like, because he said that, I was like, oh, I can actually trust him to fucking have my well-being in mind. That's fucking nice.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I've seen a lot of girls on the internet that actually are like, I want to go get facial feminization surgery and I want to do all this stuff, and they get into this kind of like that nasty kind of like Californian bimbo kind of like too much fucking surgery facial look. That they look like fucking like a baboon's ass.
They got like permanent dog face going on.
Yeah, it's like they start to look like really horrible, and that's what a lot of these girls are acting like they want to go for. It's really horrible, and some of them, like you'll see them, like Julie Vu, Princess Jules. She's one of those ones. She wants to go get facial feminization surgery, and she looks like a fucking Asian supermodel. It's like, why the fuck do you need facial feminization surgery?
Jules, you're a dumb bitch if you're gonna get that shit done. I will rag on you from now until the end of time.
Yeah.
Call me bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like the other one was that what's her name? God, the other girl that lives in California.
I wouldn't know. I think Ego was trying to say something actually.
I think it was like, I don't know the names, but did you ever watch a program called Spit and Image back in the 90s?
Yes.
And this is a lot of these people are looking like caricatures, like
yeah,
they're going a lot of these things.
Yeah,
this is Spit and Image,
They should bring that show back so bad. Can you imagine the Caitlyn Jenner fucking spitting image?
Yeah,
I'll fucking piss myself.
Yeah,
I think they try to bring it back, but it wasn't as popular as it was when it first hit. God.
Yeah, that's the thing with a lot of them is they end up doing like too much surgery. It's like it's all right if you get surgery, and that's the thing with me. If I ever get surgeries and stuff, I don't want to end up looking like a freak. and that's what ends up happening. A lot of them end up with the like Michael Jackson complex.
Oh God!
Where they turn into like looking like a fucking freak, like Frankenstein or something.
And I believe as well. I'm not too sure about this, but I think that's why a lot of people that don't really know too much about it, standing from the outside, see the extremes. So it's like there is a deep conversation that needs to be had, an open conversation that needs to be had. But when people see these extremes, like it almost seems like if they typecast everyone that's transgender or going through some sort of like rebirth or transition, and they see them like they might have some sort of a mental disposition, because you see it's one thing to go through a transition and have the face augmentation and whatever, but then it gets to the extremes of, I mean, normal people have these sort of extremes where they look like Michael Jackson and plastic and spitting image and the whole thing. But it's terrible, and that's why a lot of the times when I see like Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner, whatever you might have you, I think, is this some sort of a weird way to like mind fuck people? Because there needs to be an honest conversation had, and the more it seems weird and contrived and blown over this Hollywood-esque sort of thing, it takes away from the seriousness of the conversation.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think the whole plastic surgery thing, I think it's been around for a long time, because but it's not been the same. It's not been like it's not been done the same as it was in the past. Like fucking was it Bitches in Rome used to love white makeup apparently, and the fucking way they made white makeup back then was fucking grinding up lead and shoving it on your face.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically they'll not shove it right on their fucking eyelid, just get some fucking lead poisoning right in your fucking eye. Yeah, have some of that. That's what it takes to look beautiful. It's and even fucking some primates do that shit, where they fucking and other animals do it too. Where they use colors or something like that, even the ones that artificially increase their sexual value by like building a nest out of certain materials to attract a mate, something like that. It's kind of that thing, I think. But it just in trannies it goes really deep, because they have a lot of competition from genetic women.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think eventually it's going to be the other way around. Like normal, they might like guys will start asking, "Are you transgender?" And there'll be anatomical like women that will start saying yes, because if you aren't if you aren't transgender, lots of guys won't even want to be with you, because they won't want to be with a real female, because real females are fucking horrible.
Exactly.
Like the two things that will be your downfall is if you're not a transgender and if you say you're a feminist. Those two things will make it unlikely for you to ever be able to have sex with anyone. So you'll have to say I'm not a feminist and that I'm transgender, even if you're not, just so that you can actually have a boyfriend.
We're going to have to start coming up with a reverse shit test then, just to make sure we don't accidentally get with secret feminists, if it were.
Yeah, exactly.
How
that's the thing with feminists is they can't keep it. They can't keep a secret. If you throw out enough stuff at them, they'll eventually just go off, because they can't keep their mouth shut. That's the one thing with feminists. They can't keep their fucking mouth shut. You've seen that shit with that fucking little bitch from Tokyo that I did the other day. Yeah, I did that.
I was fucking dying.
Yeah. She got on there and went off. And the funny thing is, she's actually, I would think it was like 2 years ago. She was 2 or 3 years ago. She had like hundreds of sock puppet accounts on YouTube. And she actually has. I have a bunch of friends, Rachel and June, and Texan in Tokyo, and Give Me a Break Man and Give Me a Flake Man, and all these YouTubers from Japan. We call ourselves J-vloggers. And there was all these J-vloggers that were her friends, and that she would get on and she would talk to. And if you watch a lot of her older videos from like 2 or 3 years ago, she was actually talking to these people. And then all of a sudden, she started putting up like shitty messages on their pages, and just if you read some of the stuff she put up there, she was a fucking lunatic. Some of the shit she wrote, people thought she was fucking psychotic, and she is. And then she was actually doing this to her own friends. And
well, they do. They throw people under the bus for arbitrary reasons.
Yeah, and she did that, and that's why there's nobody that likes her anymore. She don't have. You'll notice on her channel, like over 2 years, she's never even done any like collabs. The only people that she does collabs with are her boyfriend, and he's like some loser as well, hanging out with this psychotic fucking Canadian bitch. So she, that's
Canadian?
Yeah. She calls herself Canada Jean. Her name's Canada Jean 3.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm fucking sophisticated when it comes to shit like that. I can program you some fucking like an awesome game system. Cannot fucking solve word problems worth of shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it sounds like women.
Simple words can't fucking figure them out.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a total like bitch, and like everything on her channel, most of her videos, they have like no substance, and she tries to make a lot of videos that are like other people's videos on other channels, and she like trolls other people's videos to try to get her page bigger, and she's got over 100,000 subs, but I'm imagining that a lot of her subs, she lost a lot of subs after her bullshit came out, but a lot of her subs she got, I think, are simp white knight manginas. And the rest of them are guys that are waiting for her to self-implode. They're waiting to see her get called out again so that they can laugh, Oh, yeah. And I think that's what a lot of it is, Because if you watch her videos, there's a lot of views, but there's not a lot of likes, on her videos. A lot of people just watch her videos. They don't actually comment or do anything. The ones that comment are like, the simps that'll get on there and like, you're so pretty and this was such a great video. Those kind of people that are just fucking like platitudes,
Well, this kind of goes back to the actual topic of the show, which was kind of that schoolyard mentality of guys doing that to girls back when they were young. Because I remember doing this shit when I was my earliest experience with girls that I remember, like, there was this girl getting fucking bullied, and I actually went to go help her out. And the bitch fucking, like, I basically kicked the crap out of the guy who was bullying her, and she got upset because she liked him. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? Why are you complaining about him beating your ass then, you dumb bitch?
Yeah, he was hitting me just because he liked me. That's why. Schoolyard kids, they like some girl, so they stick their hair in the ink, do shit like that.
Man, that's just the start of a fucking great mentality, isn't it? Yeah, he hits me because he likes me.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, I think that's the other good reason why it's better to be with a trans person, because regular girls learn a lot of their sadistic psychological shit test bullshit stuff in school.
I can attest to that.
And the thing is if you go through school as a boy, and then as you get out of school, you decide, fuck this, I'm gonna go and be a girl, and then you have to kind of learn everything, and a lot of that stuff, because you went through it, you already know that shit's fucked up. So you tend to not want to do any of that, and you didn't learn any of that as a little child, so it's not like kind of like in your vocabulary to act that way. So you have something over the genetic females, because you're not going to be a fucking asshole like them.
Yeah. Well, even something simple as makeup, right? I only did makeup in secret, so I've never really got any practice. And today, I just can't be fucked with it. I've got this really busy lifestyle. I'm a programmer. I'm always got something going on. and I just don't have fucking time to slap some shit on my face and then later, like, get it all over my fucking clothes, worry about having to get it off my fucking clothes, worry about having to get it off my face. I just, like, fuck it, right? I got no time for that shit. So I just go around without makeup, and girls fucking lose their shit. You can just see it in their face, because I'm prettier than them without needing all this fucking slapper crap.
Yeah.
It's just fucking great, because I stare at them back. Like, I saw it yesterday when I was going out to buy some shit in the stores. These 3 teenage girls are crossing me, and they just give me the stink eye, and I'm just all smiling and shit, and I'm like, yeah, bitch, yeah, I'm pretty on the inside and the outside, ho. Oh.
Yeah, that's the problem with them. Most females, that's one thing that they really hate, is like you're, as a transgender, you're more beautiful on the inside than they will ever be on the outside.
Yep. But also on the outside too.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, because I've met so many women in my time that were like models and like really, really gorgeous, and inside they're just disgusting, horrible people, you know. And their shit don't stink, and everybody needs to grovel at their feet, and they're just fucking horrible fucking people that you'd never even want to talk to in real life. And they think because they're pretty, which is all they got, that's all they need. And what they'll find out is, what I love about those kind of people is eventually they're going to get old. And when they get old, they're going to be alone. They're still going to be a bitch, and they're going to be living off their laurels. You know, as when I was younger, I was a model. Yeah, you were a model then, but now you're just some old crotchety bitch that nobody wants to even talk to. You know?
So no one comes to visit me anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you're a cunt and you still act like you're a supermodel, and you're not, you know.
See, I was actually talking to one of my friend's wives I was at my Christmas party the other day, and there's one genetic lady that is married to one of the guys I work with. She's really, really nice. She was actually telling me about getting breast implants, because she actually got them done. And hers look really good, but she was telling me to not get them done. She's like, if I would have realized how bad it was, I wouldn't have them done. And she's a beautiful woman. Oh my god, she's fucking gorgeous. She has like her facial structure and everything. And she's been giving me really good advice. She's no bullshit. She's actually, from what I've been told, she used to be in the army or some shit like that. Like before they had the cheating requirement for women just to get on the pussy pass.
Yeah.
So she's fucking legit, and I like her a lot for that. You know, I have respect for actually serving, you know, country and whatnot. So yeah, she was just telling me about how she was pointing out girls in the fucking room staring at me, and I'm like, oh, I'm aware. I was like, I'm aware. I don't even fucking look at them. We're not even on the same level. They're over there being a passive aggressive cunt, and I'm sitting over here having a good fucking time with people that I like, and they fucking hate it, and they can't get over it. The quickest thing would be just to let it go and just have their own little fucking life. They just can't. They just cannot.
Well, that's the thing. I've always talked about those little cutthroat things they say. They're such snarky little bitches. And they'll come over. Women have this way of talking to each other, even if they're your best friend, where they say things that just make you like feel small. And they're really good at that. And like I say, they learn that shit in school. They learn that how to cut each other down. And they don't realize, like I did those comments on Theron and that girl's video.
Yeah, I actually, if you notice in the comments, I kind of just said my piece and fucked right off.
Yeah. It's like they don't realize they both have that mentality. They both have that kind of like, I'm better than everyone else. Everybody should, like, they don't have any knowledge about transgender issues. They don't even care that cisgender suicide rates are 1.6% of the population, which is over almost 400 million people in the United States. And we're talking about an estimated 700,000 transgender people. And out of that 700,000 transgender people, there's 41% suicide, attempts. So, I mean, the huge amount of people that are trying to kill themselves and then you have these people that are already like phenomenally hot. Like Theron just started transgender medication like 2 weeks ago, and she already looks like she's been on it for years. Yeah. And she thinks everybody can be like that. You know, they're like very fucking like they're above the curve. You know, nobody's going to look like that. Very, very few people have that natural beauty. But when they have it, instead of being appreciative that they have that, they get this holier than thou attitude, like they're just amazing and everybody should try to be like us. And it's like, no, fuck you. You know, especially when you act like that and you act like your shit don't stink and like you're so important and self-absorbed. I don't want to even be friends with people like that. It's really awful. You know, that's why when I put I commented and stuff, and I was like, you know, it's like Mean Girls, you know, and that girl was like, I can't believe you think I'm like a mean girl, and it's like it's not what you say. It's not that you're being mean. It's that you have that same fucking attitude. You know, you're being mean and you're saying things that are mean without even realizing it. And when you take on the persona of a transgender on the internet, you have to realize that you're now representing the narrative, and that young children are going to come on the internet looking for somebody to look up to and looking for somebody to give them some validation in their life because their parents won't and their friends won't, and they feel like committing suicide, and they're going to find your site and they're going to watch your video and they're going to watch you downplay everything that they feel, and they're going to want to kill themselves. And that's basically what I told them. I see it every day because I'm a psychologist, and that's the kind of people that end up coming to my office. And I don't want those kids to find their video and think that they should just, even though they have problems with their body and they want to kill themselves because of it, and they don't have a lot of money, and they don't have the money to do facial feminization surgery and to get their voice box recorrected and to get like thousands upon thousands of dollars worth of laser hair removal and all this shit. And all that stuff could be solved if they just didn't go through male puberty, you know? And for these girls, these two girls that look very sexy and are on hormones and look this way naturally and have like way more money than everyone else and are able to get all the surgeries and shit like that, and then they say like nobody should be able to do it because of us, you know, because of reasons. I think that's very very unrealistic, and it really can damage a lot of kids that find your video. That's why if I get people in my comment sections that start saying some really shitty stuff about transgender stuff, I delete them. And I'll actually block them as well, because I don't want kids to come to my page and find these horrible comments in the comment section and have some of them start feeling bad or even want to commit suicide because they watched one of my videos and looked in the comment section.
I was actually oh fuck, I'm looking it up. There's an app for phones now. I thought I bookmarked it, and I may not have done. But there's an app that actually helps people who are transitioning or just want to do voice training do it with an app that fucking detects the levels you need to still adjust to. So I'm looking at that right now. I believe it was called Eva or something like that. And I can't fucking find it, but I was going to post the link here when I do. I might end up having to fucking spend time going through my bookmarks and finding it, because I've got literally thousands. I've been trying to do this on my vacation, and it's just gone to shit. I've been so busy just trying to clean up goddamn everything. It's like I spent fucking half a day cleaning up my goddamn bathroom shit just so all my girl stuff looks fine when I look in there. I would go in there and try to be like, all right, I'm gonna go do my hair today. It's like, no! It's like you know when you the meme of I don't know if you've seen it. It's a picture of a bathroom with all this fucking makeup and fucking all this other shit.
I have it on one of my videos actually. It's the picture on one of my videos. Yeah.
And the caption says you left the toilet seat up, and the entire bathroom
Yeah.
is covered in cosmetics.
Yeah,
It was,
exactly.
It was
You
kind of
can't
like
even
that,
see the
whole
sink.
fucking closet.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope, fuck this. When I look in my bathroom, I want to go find shit and feel fucking, at rest. So I actually took everything out, chucked a whole bunch of shit out, and I just rearranged
Yeah.
it all. I was like, all right, boom,
Well,
done.
a lot of girls start to realize this, but a lot of guys that just start to do makeup don't realize that, like, if you use makeup, you tend to get like bacteria and things off of your face. And so if you use something and then you like don't use it for like 2 or 3 months, there's a lot of bacteria on it, and if you put that stuff on your face, you might end up getting breakouts and having lots of problems with your face. So if you're going to have like 15 different kinds of makeup sitting on the cabinet that you've only used once or twice, you're going to have to throw that shit out unless you're going to fuck up your face.
Yeah, see, I just don't wear makeup anymore. I do on rare occasions, and I only do my eyes and lips. That's it. It's mainly the time concern. I just don't have time to give a shit.
Yeah.
Like I've got code I need to write. I don't need to be fucking sitting here. Sorry, I'm just doing a Christmas package. I actually spent this whole time lacing up a couple of corsets. One of my female friends just had her baby, and was like, "Oh, I'm going to send you a corset so you have something to look forward to when you finally heal up." Because I bought some to do my waist training, and they were too large. It's really hard to find corsets in my size, so it's just basically trial and error. So I usually give them away when they don't fit. I'm good like that. But,
yeah, I'm hoping here pretty quickly. I just turned in all of my paperwork this week, actually, for my refugee status.
Yeah.
How did that go, actually? Because I know that.
Yeah, I have.
Went over that.
The thing is they're very strict here for people coming in, and actually thousands of people apply for coming in, but there's only like, I think last year there was only like 4 or 5 people that they let in as a refugee. So they're really, really strict, but they're thinking about changing it because of the transgender issues and gay issues in other countries and stuff like that. They're wanting to change it so that people can come here. But they're also having, the thing is what's really cool is you can actually come into this country and be a nurse. They're needing a lot of people to take care of elderly people in this country. And since I have a master's in psychology, that's something that they want. And they want a lot of people, they have a lot of problems here in Japan with autistic children. So they have a lot of problems with stuff like that, and they don't have doctors here to take care of them. So they want people to help with stuff like that. So they're wanting to bring in more and more people into Japan that can do that stuff. They're actually looking for people in Syria and these other countries, and they're actually bringing them to Japan if they're like nurses and doctors. So they're trying to bring people in for these cases to take care of these elderly people. And that's why I'm going to actually be one of the first cases of a transgender person that was able to be refugee here. And I gave them tons and tons of information that I had to translate into Japanese to show them why it's such a dangerous place to live in America if you're transgender, that you have a very real chance of being beaten on a daily basis, and you have a very real chance of dying.
You know? Oh yeah, I don't like being full-time for that reason. I still kind of just like put it in the back of my mind, but it's something I think about constantly. I don't like walking out by myself at all, because one of the first things that happened when I went out and started being full-time is these 2 dudes. This is a public area too. These 2 dudes actually fucking threatened to rape me. And because I wouldn't give them the time of day, and fucking why would I if they're going to be rapists? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was on the phone talking to my friend. I was actually walking towards my friend at the time, and these 2 dudes started hollering at me, and I'm like, I'm on the phone, you know, whatever. I'm not gonna fucking talk to these guys. And they're like, oh yeah, bitch, come over here. I'm like, oh shit, you know? Like, this is like within feet of my friend, and like other people there. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
I don't know if they knew I was tranny, but it really made me fucking kind of put put it in my head that I'm more vulnerable now. So I went out. When I got back that night, I was really bothered about it. I'm like, I'm going to fucking learn about how to use pepper spray, and I fucking went and did that shit and looked about what I can legally carry to protect myself and whatnot. It's fucking really good.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to get one of those big giant purses and shit, and carry like fucking nunchucks and fucking all kinds of shit in there.
Yeah, I have a chain. In my little cute Asian purse, it's so adorable. It's got these little bears and shit on it. And it's made from crocodile. It's made from crocodile skin. It is not fucking cheap shit. It's fucking awesome. In that shit, it's I got a fucking chain whip, a fucking push knife, pepper spray, fucking knuckles.
Yeah.
Like, dude, if I hit someone with it, it's gonna knock it down on that one. Give me enough time to whip out like a chain and choke those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And then I've been thinking about carrying, because the pepper spray has dye in it, so if I tag someone, even if I don't get them in the face, I can tag someone with it.
Yeah.
You need like it's like that shit stays on for fucking days.
Yeah.
So looking for a dude with blue in his fucking eyeballs, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's look at all the hospitals. It's the only place you can really get that shit. Unless you are special forces and shit like that, you have the stuff that'll take it off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel so bad for the guy who fucking would do that, because what I would do is I'd zip tie that motherfucker up.
Yeah.
I'd be like, alright, now you're fucked, mate, because now I'm zip tied your legs together.
Yeah.
And now you're gonna get kicked.
Yeah, but like who's gonna rape who now?
Yeah, I'll just whip it out and be like, oh yeah, right, your turn!
Yeah. Now it's my turn to rape you, bitch.
But I still find it quite bizarre that 2015, that sort of stuff still happens. I must be some hermit, but I just, I mean...
Yeah, that's the same thing they have happening here, is I went in and I talked to them and I had an interview, and they were like, they still have this rosy picture that they think America is so great. So I gave them like a whole thing translated into Japanese about the American population of people in prison, which is the highest in the world, even over Korea and China and all these countries that are supposed to be so horrible. America is like 5 times higher in incarceration rates, and they'll have all the information they can about police shootings and deaths and all the stuff that's going on, and they'll start to realize maybe that America is a horrible fucking place to live. And I don't ever want to go back there again. I lived there for over 20 years of my life. I've lived here for 11 years, but I've lived here like a total of 17 years. And I don't want to ever go back to the U.S. Like if I couldn't stay in Japan, I would go to like Australia or New Zealand or Thailand or someplace. But I'll never go back to the U.S.
It's less dangerous than fucking Australia. Literally everything will want to kill you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. Actually, yes. There's I don't know about being transgender in that country, but I'm a vegan, and it's a good country to be in. Like if you I have some friends like Durian Ryder and Freely, the vegan people from Adelaide, and they live in Adelaide and the Gold Coast and Sydney and stuff like that. They kind of travel around. They ride bikes all the time and stuff like that. So I that's kind of me. It's what I do as well. So I would kind of like to go there, and I work with cars and I do like that kind of stuff. So I could very easily move there and have a decent life, doing cars and vehicles and teaching and all that kind of stuff. So if I can't stay here, I'd go there.
That's one of the things I like about my job. I can really work anywhere because it's like I can work and live in 2 different countries because I don't have to physically be at my job very often. And there are times you have to be there or whatnot, but it makes it so much fucking easier.
Yeah, I watched some girl's video from America, and she said that she makes money doing surveys online. Mm-hmm. And I got on the site, and it asked me like where I was at, and I put Japan, and it flipped everything into Japanese. And I can understand a lot of Japanese, and I read and write a lot of it, but it's showing like kanji and all kinds of shit like that, and it's like I don't know a lot of that stuff. So I can't understand it, and I can't figure out how to switch it back into English. So I can take the things, because they pay you like a couple of cents or something per thing, but I'm home all the time, and I could take like 100 of them a day, to where I could be making like hundreds of dollars a day maybe, taking these surveys. So I would do that, and they keep sending me surveys every day to take, but they're all in Japanese, and I can't take them. So it's really fucking annoying.
Yeah. The other thing I'm really glad about in my job is that it pays enough to actually do all the transition shit. Like when I was 19, part of the reason I didn't transition because I just got out of school. I really didn't have any job skills. I just got my AS levels done. And I failed the shit out of them, even though I was teaching that fucking class the next year. So the one retarded kid, I get to fucking stand up there and show everyone else how retarded I'm not. It's fucking great. But I ended up dropping out because I had to go to work, and I ended up getting a high-paying job for my lack of ability. But it wasn't enough. I was like, I can't fucking have a life like this shit. So I kind of postponed transition because of the fact that I wasn't employable. And it took a long-ass time to work towards where I'm actually employable to the point where I can reconsider it seriously. It's fucking really good that I chose a lucrative field, but choosing my field wasn't accidental. I chose it because it's something I basically have a job. I do have a job skill, I just don't have any formal training in it, and so I was like, fuck this, I want my piece of paper that says I'm awesome.
Yeah.
So you're actually programming, are you? Because I'm just venturing into learning R because I want to get into like statistical stuff and a few sort of business ideas I have. But yeah, I mean, and plus you're able to sort of like do your own sort of thing, and it's not. I don't know how your job is, but I believe that it's not sort of overly run by feminists or feminazis, and they're sort of like, hammering the hell out of you and all of this sort of rubbish, because I believe that's the next sort of level, because a lot of people have now got to see the road ahead, and the road is not rosy when it's overly run by human resources, HR, that feel good women, and they're sort of dictating, and it's like, what I'm saying is you've just got to get further and further away to where the money's at, and it just seems to be like software engineering or programming, and that's it really. I believe anyway. So it's like, more power to you that you've been able to do that. Well done.
Yeah, I did a video of that like 2 weeks ago, I think, on the women in HR, and that psychological area is the fastest growing in psychology. There's a lot of people. A lot of the feminist women that are trying to get women to go into that field because it makes a lot of money, and it will actually artificially inflate the amount of women that are getting into STEM fields and stuff like that. Because what these girls do is they will actually go in there, and they get asked to go into jobs into these HR departments and do tests and kind of check what's going on in the areas, find out how they can make certain people more efficient, how they can make people's lives better in the job so that they'll work harder and work longer and won't complain as much and have a better feel like they have a better way of life when really they don't, which is perfect for women. That's kind of their life, making a guy feel like he's got something that he don't, so that's kind of what that is designed to do, and those almost every HR department is under that. Anywhere in the world, most HR departments have fallen under that spell of feminists and feminazis and these people in that psychological field. And even if it's a man doing that field, he learned it from a woman, and the way they do it is the way the feminists want them to. And so they're kind of like they're insidiously getting into everything by doing that, and it's turning work environments for men into just like slave dens.
Yeah, because that's what I look at it as. That sort of paradigm can't last anymore, because like the way I look at it is that even when I used to like work, I haven't worked in a couple of years or whatnot, but when I did work in like the prison over in the UK, like in London, I saw the, one incident. I was just like in the briefing room on a particular wing, and I had to sort of like put my jacket over the hangout, but like people sat around, so chairs in front of this hook. So like I stood in front of a guy because I didn't want to stand in front of a woman, and like stretch over to hook it. So the guy goes, get your effing like crutch out of my face. It's me, right, steady on. So I'm moving on. So this other woman said to me, mister, you can put your crutch in my face any day.
Yeah.
And I stood there, and I stood there, and I thought, and I looked around, and I said, there must have been about 14 people in the room, 15 people. And I said to myself, if I looked around to see if anyone heard it, and they did, because she said it quite loudly, and I thought, if this was me, well, if this was any other guy, or if this was the other way around, someone would be getting fired.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. Sure. Yeah, it never, everything that they want to do, that's why they always talk about equality, but I always say that the equality is gender privilege masquerading as equality, because everything that they talk about, they just want to like subjugate men. They want to be able to tell men what they can do, what they can say, where they can go, how they can do it, when they can do it, why they can do it. They don't want men to have any say in their lives or in anything they do in life, and they want to have the privilege over them. And they think that that's what men have now, and that's why they don't want equality. They want what they think men have, because they have this idea that men go around subjugating women, and that they tell them what to do, and everything they do in their life has to do with subjugating women. So they want that life for themselves. But that life doesn't exist for men.
It doesn't.
Men don't have that privilege that they think we have, but they really think we do. So they think if they want to get to that level, but they don't realize by getting to that level, first of all, they're already past the level of being equal, and they've already went to the other side. They're actually putting us where they think they were. They're actually putting men in the category of where they think women are or were, and women were never there. That's the problem. Exactly. They've never been there. Women have always been the top of the society. They always have, no matter what. They've always been the top of the society. We got somebody new that just came in.
Hey, man.
What's up?
Hello.
I like your avatar. It's cute.
Thanks.
Yep, armchair. Yeah. So basically, where I was going at with the topic was what we got going on is in most schools in America, they're trying to they've changed the curriculum and the design of the curriculum in the last 20 years to it's more geared towards men, or women, I mean. And the way they teach, the way boys learn and the way women learn are completely different. And the teachers, because they're all females, have moved away from the ability to teach boys, and because they learn in college from a female how to teach, and they teach them in a way where the way that they're going to teach is to a woman's style and a woman's characteristics, which means most of them don't have any clue how to teach men or boys. And because of that, when they get into a school and they have like a class where half of the students are boys and half the students are girls, they run into these kids that don't want to listen, don't want to sit down. They run around and play, and they don't understand that dynamic because they weren't taught that in school, in college. So they think that something's wrong, and they obviously have ADD, and we got to put them on medication, And that's basically where this whole thing has started to come from in the last 20 years. These kids that are on ADD medication, and it's 90% of them boys. You know, very few girls are on ADD medication. It's always boys. And the only reason boys are on ADD medication is because women teachers have told the parents that your kid has ADHD.
I was going to say, this might also affect other Western countries, because when I lived in England, right, one of the things that when they used to have me do, it was fucking torture as well, is I used to have to do drills for my handwriting. And it was always like, your handwriting's not neat enough. And my counter-argument, and I fucking am totally right, by the way, all you fucking retard teachers that I had, was that I can use keyboards. I've known how to use a fucking keyboard since before I could fucking remember. Always had access to the computer. I was like, I want a job in fucking keyboards. I'm not going to be writing shit down, and when I do, it's going to be scratch. Like, I was really young when I was saying this shit. I was only like fucking maybe 8 years old. And I was telling them exactly what I'm doing now. You know, I just want to fucking quickly write shit down. I don't want to have to fucking do this. And so they put me through all this bullshit for years. Like I hold a pen really weird, apparently. I'm like, no, it's just me picking up a fucking pen and writing. So I had to actually wear this device on my fucking fingers to make me hold a pen the way fucking other people do it. People do it. I'm like, I've seen fucking this kind of shit happening firsthand. It's like, I realized what they actually meant. It wasn't oh, your handwriting sucks compared to everyone. It was look at the girls' handwriting. They're so neat and so lovely. I'm like, yeah, but they spent fucking 8 minutes writing a fucking single sentence. I was like, I just want to get the shit done. I want, you know.
Yeah, they don't realize like the way boys are that they're not. They don't think about school in the same way, and they learn in a completely different way, which is why it's. If you teach a boy in the right way, they pick up things a lot quicker than women. And women want to like know so much stuff about things and read books and read all kinds of stuff. And in the end, they really still don't know much about it, you know, mainly because they don't do it. You know, women want to read about things but not actually do them. Boys want to do them, and they don't want to know much about it. They just want to know the basics, you know. How do I do this? And you tell them this is what you need to do that, and then they go out and they do it. And they learn once they start doing it. They're like, well, that didn't work. I need to change something, and they kind of figure it out by themselves. Women don't do that. That's not how women learn. So when you teach boys the way women learn, they don't learn anything. Boys can't learn that way. You know, so if you sit a boy down and you give him some book and you say, this has everything in this book that you need to know about how to do something. And they'll read it, and when they're done, most boys will be like, I don't know what to do. I don't understand, you know. But if you tell them like a couple of things, and then you give them something, and then you say, this is what the book was about, they'll figure out everything that they were reading by themselves. And women don't understand that. They want to, I always say in my teaching, I always put this on my page, that my job as a teacher is not to teach you what to think. It's to teach you how to think. And that's the problem with most female teachers. They want to teach you what to think. They want to tell you, like, you have to be a feminist, and you have to be a white knight, and you have to do all this stuff, and you have to think like a woman, because that's the best way to be in life, because I'm a woman, so obviously you have to think like me. You know, and they don't want anybody to have their own mind, and especially if they're a boy. You have to think like a woman, because women are the superior race under their idea, you know.
Master race.
Yeah, they're the master race, you know, Sieg Heil, you know, feminism. You know, so yeah, that's how they really are. And they don't get, they're actually fucking up men's lives, and they're actually, you know, like I've always talked about here in Japan, they're actually causing the death of Japan here, because a lot of men have actually decided to stop going into college, and a lot of men here are not being like, you know, they're not getting jobs that they had to go to college for. They're working in like record stores, or they're working at like 7-Eleven, and they're getting these jobs that they make barely enough money to survive, because they don't have a wife, and they don't want a wife, and they don't need any of that shit. So all they want to do is to be able to go out and maybe drink something and have some fun with some friends and go back home and eat some ramen, and they don't really need a lot of money to survive. And so a lot of them have basically just canceled out of society, and they've just basically stopped being part of the rat race. And because of that, there's so many of them doing that. The society and the GDP here and the economy is just tanking. And that's why we're getting these people that don't want to ever get married. They don't want to have kids. They don't want a job that's going to be like something that's going to take up major amounts of their life. They have, in some cases, part-time jobs, and they work at a job where they get, $9 or $10 an hour. And that's all they need, because they only have to pay rent, they have to pay their cell phone bill, and they have to buy some food. And other than that, everything else is covered. They might have to go on train rides and bus rides and stuff like that, but that's all pretty cheap here in Japan. So you could get by on $1,000 a month, and that's what a lot of them are doing. They're getting by on like $1,500 a month, which is nothing here in Japan, and a lot of them can do that. I myself only spend about $200 a month on food.
I like what you said there and how you put it. Sorry to interject there, because when I used to listen to your videos, I liked your approach to it, and the analogy you've just made to teaching boys, and I can see, I've been seeing it for a number of years over here, and like to the point where now a lot of my male friends, I don't really talk to them a lot, because that they are being sort of like ushered in, or they're being sort of, I don't know, like being controlled by some sort of a feminine ideology. And what you're saying about Japan is what I'm actually seeing here, and I've seen it for a very long time. So I've started to start my business around sort of like doing, that's why I call it Ego Blossom, and do these sort of YouTube channels, satirical sort of thing, and also a fashion channel to sort of like show men how they can sort of get their groove back. So having sort of like an environment where men can come around like this, not really spend like 50 hours libating over some pointless idea, but sort of like get the basics, as you said, then convene in a physical location where actual like hand to soul sort of stuff can be done, either computing or to generate a lot of money, because I can see that in the next, even the next 5 years, they're going to have a massive problem over here in the UK, and I suppose in America as well, because I can see the trajectory of what you're saying in Japan. I can see that over here, a lot of guys, young guys, they have no direction. They can't really focus on the sort of things that their father's generation or the generation before that did. They basically have no place in society but to be sort of like on the coattails of some woman that has no idea about anything. And I can see the future being pretty grim for a lot of guys. And if they think that by being with a woman that, she's, I don't know, some sort of a yoga Pilates instructor is going to do anything, they're going to find that they're going to be basically stay-at-home husbands, but not in a positive light, because I've been finding a lot of females that I know, they're actually cheating on their husbands and their boyfriends. I mean, and it's just like you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, this is not actually a positive thing. And when you have a group of women that discuss these things, you actually see that the other women are not basically saying what you've done there is actually bad, it's actually violent. And you think to yourself, a lot of these women, they don't have responsibility. They don't want to have responsibility. They don't give a damn about it. And as you said earlier on, they're using this sort of like phantom power that they think men have, and they're completely obliterating any shred of decency in society. And I think that the movement of transgender and everything being open now, I think this could be a massive plight to them. And I'm looking forward to it, because men right now, it's a dire stage with guys younger than 30, early 20s. It's pretty bad over here. So I like the stuff that you're saying, and I think that a lot of people listening need to really take stock of what's going on right in front of them and be a positive change and actually have more of these conversations.
Well, I'm always talking about in the industry that I'm in is teaching. And when you go into colleges now, you typically find women. It's been this way for years and years. Women go into softball courses. Women are not in college to get a career. That's not what women go to college for. Women go to college to find husbands. And they go to college to find husbands that are going to be in a field that's going to make them money. Now, I've talked about it before, where 25 to 28% of the graduating class in any given year in colleges are women, and are actually graduating. Of 100% of the people that go into college, only about 25 to 28% actually graduate. The rest drop out. And out of that 25%, 68% are women. And what they're going to start finding, because of the way they're running colleges, is less and less boys are going to be going into college, first of all, because they just won't care. And they don't want to be taught by a woman, and they don't want to not be able to learn things and still have to pay for it and get debt. So once this happens, what's going to happen is they're going to have less and less chance to find a boy, which means less women are going to want to go into college too, because they're not going to be able to look for a boy. And the problem that they have now, and that they've been having for years, is these 25 to 28% of women and men that are in colleges. A lot of these women go to college for 4 years and get some softball career because they're kind of keeping track of the men that are in the college to find the guy that actually is going to make it through college and graduate and get a diploma so that he can have a nice job. And that's the guy they want to tag off of and use him as an ATM machine. So that's why a lot of women go to college. They don't go to college ever to actually have a real career. Very rarely do women go into college and get something that they're really going to use. I mean, they'll be like nurses or something like that. But typically, they'll end up getting married to some guy, and then they'll end up getting a kid and quitting work and not going back to work until he divorces her. And that's just a typical thing that ends up happening. Very, very rarely do you find these women that actually go to college to actually have a real life for themselves and make a life for themselves and not tag off to some guy and use him as an ATM.
Yeah,
you have a lot of chicks like just go into college, just get a gender studies degree or some other background.
Yeah, well, typically what we have in most colleges in the world, especially in the U.S., is most women go into college and they get gender studies, arts degrees, psychology degrees, poli-sci, stuff like that, and they're never really very, very few. I mean, they'll go into like nursing, stuff like that, but very few go into like lawyer, doctor, something that's going to make them like $100,000 a year, where they can actually not even have to have a boyfriend or a husband. They can actually support themselves. Very, very few women do that because that's not what they're there for. They're there to kind of like watch, and they want to see some guy that's handsome enough, that looks like he's in a really good career, that has a lot of ambition and drive, and they just want to sit at home and watch him work for her so that she can buy her purses and Louis Vuitton bags and her new house and get all the things that she wants in her life while he works his ass off for them, and that's basically what they want.
Go ahead. Sorry. Man, the thing about women now, they don't even provide the sex and the companionship and the cleaning up now. They just don't want to do nothing.
Yeah, that's the way most of them are. They've got to the point where they've tried to shame men for so many years, and they started out shaming them, saying like I'm having to work in the house and take care of the kids and blah blah blah. So in the 70s, they were able to go out and start working even though they were with their husband. But the thing is they would do jobs that didn't actually bring any money home. So they would do stuff like their husband would be out doing something where he was making $30,000 or $20,000 a year, which was quite a bit of money back in the 70s. And his wife would be like a cashier at the grocery store, or something, where she was making like $8 an hour and bringing home like, $10,000 a year. So she's bringing home like 1/3 of what her husband was, and then
but
she was
college, just to get by, not your whole entire career.
Yeah,
exactly.
Most of the stuff they do, they want so much, they want people to consider them equal, so much, even though they're not. You know, the
Yeah.
women.
And you can tell, man. You can tell all. You know, when I was registered for school at a shitty little community college here, in North Florida, it was because I just moved here. I'm going to the military too, even though I know it's bullshit, but it's just to pay, have a good job. But it's like you just see them in hot pants and shit, like their ass is showing, like the hot pants that Ariana Grande wears, and their ass is jingling out. It's like you just didn't tell they're just looking for a guy. And then all these posters are on the school walls about like, it's not sex if she's drunk or whatever. It's like, why are they always trying to just shame men? And it's always like gay men, they're targeting gay men and straight men, like like all the, every straight man or the masculine gay man is just going to take advantage of the other person.
Yeah, that's what they want. They want to make themselves feel like victims. That's the whole it doesn't make any sense from a psychological standpoint that women can actually say that they're empowered and they're strong, brave, women and all this stuff. And then in the next breath, they can talk about how they're subjugated by men and they're victims. And everything that's happened in my life that's bad for me, that's wrong, is because men have subjugated me. And I don't understand this dichotomy that they have where they can say in one breath that I'm a strong, independent woman, but I need a boyfriend to buy me new high heels and shoes and pay my rent and all this stuff. And I'm not privileged because of that. It doesn't make any sense how they can have this. I'm a victim, but I'm also empowered, because you can't be both.
But from what, because I remember you saying this the other day on your channel, and the problem is, like, my sister, she's like 27, no, 29, and like we went out to dinner with one of her best friends, and they're both doctors. And like, when I speak about these sort of things, they are finding it very hard to find relationships with guys their sort of age, or guys that they'll bring you money, because this is why I agree with you that a lot of the guys out here, they feel very low, low self-esteem, low self-worth. And another thing I've sort of looked at, and I was speaking to them about it, that apart from the fact that yes, they might be doctors, which they've been telling me is a sham over here. The NHS being, they're not making any money. It's just insane. And I was speaking to them saying that another flip side of it is that even though you women might be doctors, when it comes to like being logical and looking at a relationship with a man, or how you women have sort of been raised, a lot of even my sister and her friends, they still have a messed up idea of how a relationship should go, even though they try as much as possible to be independent women. When it comes to the relationship side of it, they have no clue. It's like they're always losing to the sort of girls that this guy just spoke about. These sort of girls wearing the hot pants, and those girls later on you find all they do is basically give a blowjob or a hand job to the guy that has a lot of money. But then afterwards, they just revert back to how women typically are, which you said again. They can't keep the facade up forever. So as soon as they get in there, then they start sort of like displaying this sort of fake comedian-like thing they did before. But the sort of women that are trying to do what they're trying to do, there's not a lot of them out there speaking. There's not a lot of them out there sort of like seeing that, this is a problem that is sort of like hitting us all. And they find that, because my sister and her female friends, they're very vocal. And I tell them, listen, you can't say that sort of shit to me, because I'll have you. But the majority of men now, they're very PC. And if you're speaking to a guy, you don't really know his background, he might be sensitive in a way. These women are looking for these sort of archetypes of what their fathers were, but their fathers really weren't like that. Because a lot of the time, their fathers were all manginas. Going out to work every day and bringing back home the money for your wife. You're basically playing a slave role. And a lot of the time, you just leave the household stuff to your missus. So it's like I tell a lot of the female women I know, and they can't comprehend it for some strange reason. You might be able to elaborate on that, but I just feel that a lot of these women, they might have 20% of it, majority of them have less than 1% of it. Because I visited America a couple of years ago in Atlanta, and I was like trying to go around interviewing women. I actually went up to maybe like 20, 30 women and said, you know, apart from your good looks, what do you have going for yourself? Guess what the responses were? One woman actually said, I have water. Other women actually said, we have, you try it next time when you speak to women, if you're bothered. Just say to them, apart from your good looks, what do you have going for yourself? And they have zero, niche. And a society can't be built on this. And I find that a lot of the women that are trying their best, they fall down because they have a messed up perception of how they think men should be.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's the thing. They have nothing going for them, and they're trying to bring men down to their level. That's the problem. They want equality, and they think men have this thing where we've basically built everything. We've built all the, you know, homes, and everything that's been built in society has been built by men. But they want to make you feel bad for that, and they want to make you feel like you're privileged because you're actually able to build things in society and make society grow. So they want to actually bring you down to where they're at, and then they want to have your level where they think you were, but they don't want to do any of the work that it takes to get there. They just want to, like, they want to say, like, we're as important as you. But like what I was talking about that I think is going to be even funnier is right now even, it's harder and harder for women to find guys in colleges to have sex with and to date. Most girls aren't finding people, and the cool thing that's going to happen, and that's going to start happening, less and less boys are going to be in college, and they're going to automatically know, with all these stupid laws that feminists are talking about, and this whole culture of you know, rape culture bullshit that's going on, that's complete horseshit. Most of these women are going to have a hard time finding any guy that wants to date them in a college because they're going to think they're going to get a false rape accusation. And then also the guys are going to start getting smart, I believe, especially if they hear about the MGTOW. They're going to start watching these women, and they're going to ask them when they meet some girl in college, they're going to be like, what are you studying? And if she says, oh, I'm, you know, political science major or some bullshit like that, he's going to be like, man, what a loser, and he's not going to want to date him. So these women are going to be in college, and they're not even going to be talked to by a man, and that's going to wake a lot of them up. And I think it's going to be funny when you're going to see all these gender studies teachers teaching, and they're not married either, you know. And that's going to be when they're going to start realizing that it's like we always talk about with the MGTOW monks. You know, there's all these guys talking like the MGTOW monks are so great, but if you watch their videos, you'll see that they don't have a lot of views, you know, and not a lot of people want to get on their page and talk all bad about men and about other MGTOWs. So they're not getting a lot of people to watch their videos. And eventually, if they're smart enough, which a lot of them aren't, just like women, eventually they should realize that what they're saying people don't want to hear, you know. And that typically with women, it doesn't seem to happen. They don't care if nobody's listening to them. They'll still say it. And they'll do it to a fault, to their own detriment. And that's kind of where they're at right now, is a lot of women really think that women want to have something to do with this. And what they've done is, in a recent study, they found out that 10% of the U.S. population is feminist. The rest aren't. So there's like basically 90% of the U.S. women's population, which is 167 million. 167 million women are being told what to do by 10% of them, and have all of the laws being changed to basically make their lives worse, because it's going to make it harder for those women to find a husband and to find a boyfriend, because these bitches, you know, like with red hair and fucking, you know, horrible fucking attitudes that think men are all bad, are going to fuck up their life. And that's going to start making, I believe, a lot of these women that don't have anything to do with feminism and don't want to, they're going to come out of the woodwork and say, look, bitch, you don't speak for me.
Because what I'm finding now is I used to tell my friends, maybe about 15 years ago, a lot of this dramas was women. I sort of, because I was introduced to women at a very young age, I used to hang around with guys and girls, maybe about 7, 8 years older than me. So I actually got involved with women at a very young age. I used to say whatever to women. I was, dating 4 or 5 women at a time. And I used to tell my friends that you guys don't know how sexually deprived depraved a lot of women are. They go, how do you mean? I said, well, I've had it on my birthday or just a regular day when women will actually pay to take me to a hotel and they'll basically force me to have sex with them, even though I've performed, the majority of the night or whatever. And when I just, finish from work, late in the morning, and I'm just getting some shut-eye just for 5 minutes, they're stumping around. And I said to a lot of them, you wait. Things are going to change. You're going to be getting raped. They thought I was joking. A year ago, a friend of mine calls me up and said, oh my God, like, I can't believe what you're saying before, but I was just being raped by a woman. And I said, have you made a police report? And he started laughing. I said, it's a shame that you've just gone through being raped by a woman, a friend of yours for about 5, 6 years. She pretended that, she was a good friend of yours. And she basically locked this guy in her apartment and basically forced him, after about an hour, she said, oh, I know you find me attractive. He goes, no, we're just friends. She basically sexually, raped the guy. And then as soon as the guy didn't want to do anything else with her, she basically handed him his jacket and told him to get out. And I believe that, is already happening. There are a lot more rapes are going to be happening with women over in London as well as happening already. They're going to be roofing guys. They're going to be drunk. This is what these women are going to start doing.
It is. We're finding out actually a lot of cases of women doing this, and then they're getting pregnant and they're saying that they were raped by men, and they do it kind of on purpose to kind of stem the criticism of themselves. Like if they go and they rape some guy while he's drunk and passed out in a college dorm or something, they can later come back, and when he starts telling her like, hey, you had sex with me when I was drunk and all this stuff, and she'll be like, no, you were actually jumping on me and you wanted to have sex with me, and I said okay, and I kind of gave in to you, but I didn't want to, and all this kind of stuff. So they kind of placate the whole thing by saying like, you actually raped me, I was actually the victim. And they're actually having a lot of cases like that are coming into court. And what's really funny, this whole rape culture bullshit that women talk about, there's actually, in Great Britain, there was like 67,000 cases that were brought into the courts for rape, and only 2,700 were actually convictions.
The thing about Great Britain with the court system, I've done a lot of work over here. I actually, taught myself, common law, commercial law for the past like 3 or 4 years, and I used to help a lot of people in and out of courts. And from the studies of the time of time immemorial, since law started, I found that the court system is nothing more than a massive money-making, degenerative system. Where over here in the UK, if you're basically a man, and what's happening now is women are starting to feel the brunt of it, where a lot of these companies are actually, because they're starved of money, they actually, how it works with schools, they get a certain amount of money for every child they have in a school system. It's the same thing with a lot of these companies that sort of like break up families. But my point is that the court system over here is no longer a court. Some people might, give lip service and say, there's no rule of law in England, but it actually is no rule of law. So it's actually pointless for anybody to go to any courts in England, because they're just run by administrative law judges. We're not really, judges or whatever. But it's like they're basically destroying the fabric of our society. And a lot of these rape cases that are happening, because a few of my friends are solicitors and they're dying right now, and they're basically saying that a lot of these cases don't have any merit, but because the court system is based upon money making, they don't care. So a lot of guys that are going there, I mean, how could you have an individual that's proven that he was drunk and it was paralytic? A woman has sex with him. She basically impregnated herself because he was unconscious, but yet still hold the guy responsible for the pregnancy. Where you can see that the woman, because she had men's rape, which is a guilty mind, and if she did a guilty act, that's when a crime is happened. But yet again, the system will side with the women and say the guy is still gonna pay, even though he's gone through a rape.
Yeah. Did you hear about the case in I think it was Chicago? There was a case in Chicago where a man was he didn't even have sex with the woman. He never even had sex with her. And she had a kid, and she was trying to get on welfare, and they asked her who the kid's father was. So she gave the guy's name as the father, and they do this thing where they send out a letter, and he never got the letter. And because he didn't respond within like 6 weeks or 6 months or something like that, he was now liable for child support for the child. And they actually took him to court, and they proved with DNA that he's not the father. But because he didn't come forward and say he wasn't the father, when they mailed him a letter, he still has to pay child support for a child that's not his and that he's never even met.
Well, and that's why that's shocking, but I understand how it's based upon adversarial grounds. So it's like you can see that the solicitors who were just making money, win, lose, or draw, they're basically broken. It's basically a trading floor. They'll win, lose, or draw. You can see that this is the case, but then they're going to get him on the grounds of, we entered into a contractual obligation with you, which is an impossibility, but they might state in the letter, well, if you don't reply in so days, then you're liable to blah, blah, blah. And then they use that as evidence to say, which is against the law. That's a crime itself, because of fraud at the beginning and fraud at the end. But I can understand that. And most of these guys, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. They don't have a father there or any sort of male figure to assist them. All of the women have gone crazy. And well, you just got to do the right thing. And you think, do the right thing. It's not even my child. But you can't even speak. And this is why I tell a lot of men, avoid, number one, avoid police, any cause.
Yeah, try telling that to a woman when she's been raped by a man and she's going to have a baby, to just do the right thing.
Never.
See what happens to you.
And it's an atrocious, and I'm liking what's happening now, because more and more people, a couple of my male friends, they're starting to see that the jig is up. They're not getting, most women believe all men want to do is have sex. That's a lie. That's a myth. And
I'm having to explain this to a lot of other guys too, because especially when it comes to cases of like a teacher molests, say, a kid, right? Typically male when this happens, but it also happens to females. And you see a lot of guys and like, oh yeah, that kid's so fucking lucky. What's he complaining about? And it's like, you fucking retard. You don't understand that not all guys are like you. You're just projecting what you want upon what someone else doesn't want.
Here's the problem with that as well. That's really kind of funny now, is because over 70% of U.S. and the world, actually 70% of teachers now are women. Mm-hmm. The amount of rapes, child rapes from teachers are women.
Yeah.
And that's basically almost every case. Like 1 out of every 10 cases of raping at a college or a high school is women, is men. I mean. All the rest, like 9 of the 10 are women. So mostly it's boys being raped by women. And you get into this concept where most people know that when a woman gets to the age of about 28 to about 39 or 45 or somewhere around there, that's basically their sexual peak. You know, so
I've done this for a while,
yeah, usually what happens is boys' sexual peak is like from 16 to about 25 or 27. You know, basically that's where they want to fuck everything that has a hole. You know, and what happens is they get into college and they meet women in college, and obviously they're in the mood to fuck some chicks. And by the time they get out of college, they really don't. They're not. They just want to get married and, you know, find some girl and fuck her once a month or something like that. They don't really care anymore. But women are in college, they want to find like a husband, and they find one, and then they get married, and then they go out, and now they have a master's degree, and they're teaching at a high school or a grade school, typically a high school, and now they're like 27, you know, so they start working, and then they get tenure, and now they've worked at a school, and they're now like 32 or 33. They've been working for 6 or 7 years as a teacher, and then all of a sudden little boys that are like 16 or 15 or 14 start to look really cute. You know, they start to look really cute because now they're getting horny. Their husband hardly has sex with them anymore because they're fucking bitches. And then the little boys are starting to look really cute because the little boys are, you know, their hormones are running around, and they're looking at the teacher thinking she's cute. And so she gets the idea, hey, I'm going to fucking get one of these guys to have sex with me, you know, which is why it's happening more and more. More and more of these women are ending up raping little boys because they're fucking retards, you know. They shouldn't be teaching little boys in the first place.
See, I was getting into it with the mother because one of the people I have on Facebook, they actually responded to a comment where basically the woman was like, "Oh yeah, you know, hand this boy his luckiest man of the year or whatever." It was the quote from South Park when the teacher rapes the baby, the Jewish kid, Canadian baby. Whatever, fucking. So he asked her, was like, how the fuck would you like it if that was your son? And she got majorly butthurt that you would even bring her son into it, because apparently he was in that, got into a car accident or something like that. But it's like she couldn't fucking make the connection between someone else's going through that and her possibly going through it. She's like, no, you can't talk about that. I'm like, well, just hypothetically imagine you were the other person. And you'll see why we object so fucking much. I'm actually having the foresight to put myself in someone else's position. I'd feel fucking horrible. I would feel like I was the victim in this as well. And I have to tell my kid, you know, fucking nobody gives a shit about you because in our society. I do though. And I'm like, you know, it's...
Well, that's the problem with most women. Most women have this stupid moronic idea that all men are ready to go 100% of the time. That it doesn't matter if we just got home from work and we did a 16-hour shift. If the wife comes out in a negligee, we're just going to hop on her bed and fuck the shit out of her. You know, that we're not going to be tired and say, nah, honey, I'm too fucking tired. I just want a shower and something to eat. I'm going to go to bed. They don't think that men are like that. And I always tell men, I've done this before because I'm asexual. And I've done this before in relationships where a woman will offer sex to me and I'll turn him down. That bitch will go fucking nuts.
Didn't you love it? Didn't you love it when I used to? Yeah. I love it. It feels like birthday, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever.
Yeah, you were not allowed to turn a woman down for sex. I had my second wife. When I turned her down, the last time I turned her down, I actually kicked her out of my house. I divorced her because she actually wanted to have sex, and I was like, no, I don't want to have sex, and I'm tired. I don't want to have, you know, I'm not into it. She actually literally grabbed a hold of my dick, you know, and was like squeezing it like she was going to try to rip it off and stuff, and like, you know, she got pissed off, and I kicked her out of my fucking house after that. You know, and that's the way they are. They think men are always ready to go, and if they're ready to go, you should be ready to go because you're a man. So when you call them out and show them that that's not the case, they don't want to be. They don't want to think in their own head that maybe I'm not sexy, maybe I'm not attractive. They just can't get their head around that. So if a man doesn't want to have sex with me, then it's something that I'm not pretty enough. He's not attracted to me anymore, something like that. So that'll get him fucking pissed. So because they automatically go internal. You know, so they go internal automatically.
Wouldn't you then agree that from your professional estimation that most women demonstrate traits of either sociopathic traits, narcissism. Because, for the comment that you've just said there about the woman said, "Oh, the boy should be happy." This is so devoid from any sort of like empathy. It's so devoid from. And for her not to recognize that. I don't know if you guys saw this documentary by my guy Louis Theroux, when he went and he was like basically interviewing sex offenders, and he interviewed a woman, a teacher, as you rightly said, and the look on her face, and the thing about it is, when this whole big thing happened in the UK, when there was like this Facebook paedophile ring of, these women, and they were taken, I was so happy that came to light, because I was on my own for years saying that these women are covert operators. And the funny thing about that whole situation was, they were basically trying to blame it on the guy that didn't take the pictures, the guy that wasn't around. But they said he was the ringleader.
Yeah, they always try to find some guy to blame it on.
So what do you say that these women are, sociopaths, at least sociopaths? Borderline.
Yeah, I would say that 95% of women, even the ones that aren't like feminists, I would say 95% of women are sociopaths, and they're also like pathological liars. I would say, because women have no accountability. That's the thing. They have no accountability.
I feel like shedding tears right now, because it's getting closer.
Yeah.
I don't know when most men are going to wake up and see that, the way I looked at it is that, when I was younger, when I was in school, you had young guys that, they'll have older guys that they looked up to, they'll do it, gang members or whatever. And I used to have conversations with these guys and said, you do realize you're the one doing most of the work. You're the one going out there doing whatever you have to do. They go, yeah, so it's me. So why are you, answering to this guy? He doesn't do anything. And that's what I'm saying this to guys as well. If you're the one doing it, if you're the one laying the roles, if you're the one bringing the money in, if you know how to cook, if you know how to look after the babies, change the nappies, so what is she there for?
Exactly.
But it still surprises me that in 2015, most people, or most men, just can't get this into their big heads.
Yeah.
It's right there. So I'm quite happy that this is happening, and because there has to be an equilibrium at some point. And coming soon.
Yeah, I can't see it continuing, because although there are a lot of manginas and a lot of simps and a lot of white knights, it can't go on forever, because when you start to realize that you're being used, it's kind of like when you're a friend to somebody and you don't really have a lot of friends, and you have like this one or two people that you think are your friends, and then eventually you realize that they're actually using you. That you might say, well, I don't have any other friends and they're my only friends, so if they're going to use me, at least I have somebody I can hang out with. Eventually, you're going to get pissed off and you're going to say, fuck them. I'm going to find somebody else, and even if I don't have any friends, at least I'm not getting used. And I think eventually that's what's going to happen. A lot of these white knight, simp, mangina, fucktards are going to be blue pill and purple pill, and they're going to see these women like telling them what to do. Like when you look at that fucking Macintosh fucktard,
Oh, John McIntosh?
Yeah. When you look at
for a second.
Yeah, when you look at people like that, eventually these guys are going to stop simping, and they're going to start saying, I don't want anything to do with a woman, really. I don't care. And it's going to force women, even the ones that aren't feminist, the ones that say, like, look, I'm not feminist at all, I don't want anything to do with it. Those women are going to have to come out of the woodwork, and they're going to have to start being like Karen Strong and these people. And they're going to have to start coming out and actually speaking against it. They're going to have to, and that's the only way men are going to actually believe it. Because when a woman says, like, I'm not like that, I'm a Nawalt, guys are going to be like, fuck you and fuck your Nawalt. And they're going to just not believe them. So you're going to literally have to adamantly stand up against feminists and say, look, I'm not feminist. I don't want anything to do with it. I think it's fucked up. I like my position in life. I like that I can, take care of you. I like that I can have your children. All I want to do is be a good wife to you. I don't want to be an asshole. I don't want to take your shit. I don't want to control you. I just want you to love me, and I just want you to take care of me. I just want to be a real woman and not be a bitch. Women are going to have to literally come out and say that and do that, and every guy is going to start making them sign prenups. And they're just going to basically get to the point where nobody is going to be getting married unless they do that. And they're going to be like, look, you can say whatever you want. I know how women are. If you want to marry me, you're going to have to sign a prenup. And if they say, no, I don't want to sign a prenup, then he says, like, first of all, I'm not going to marry you. Second of all, move out of my house right now.
See,
and that's basically what's going to end up happening.
I like a lot of my female friends for this because I guess I do know quite a few Nawals, and fucking they do actually speak up about this. Like one of the girls I talk to on a regular basis, the girl I was lacing up the corsets for, she's very active into this and whatnot. And when she met her husband, she was actually really overweight. But she met her husband, and she just kind of told him, hey, this is what these girls are like. In fact, she was telling me that there was this girl that was pursuing her husband, and basically the thing that really pissed her off and made her actually made her succeed in basically seducing her husband into marrying her and getting with her eventually. Is she heard this chick that was supposedly her friend say, oh yeah, I'm just gonna take that guy and I'm gonna fucking use him and all this other shit. She was so disgusted that she stopped being friends with this girl and just basically said, hey, just to let you know, she really shouldn't pursue this girl because she's just out to get you, basically. And he was taken aback by her honesty, and it was like, maybe there's something to this. You pursued a relationship with that girl. And they've been together ever since. They're married and they have a kid together, and they're really happy. She actually ended up, doing the things like losing a bunch of weight and improving her lifestyle so that she can provide the value to the guy that she's with, which I find is awesome.
I think that is.
Well, that's the way it used to be. The thing that they're having now is you're not supposed to tell them anything about their life. That's shaming them in some way, fat shaming, whatever. There used to be a time back in the day when women would have babies and then they would lose the weight and they would try to stay in shape and they would try to stay nice so that they knew their husband was out working and trying to make money so that they could have a nice life, so that they could have a nice life for their kids. And the wife felt it was her duty to try to stay sexually active for her husband and look nice. And now it's like you meet some girl, she's pretty hot, and she shaves her pussy and she looks really sexy, naked and all this stuff. And then they have a kid and they gain like 100 pounds. And then they don't lose it. And then after like a year after they have the kid, they've gained 100 pounds, but now they gain another 60 pounds. And pretty soon you married some girl that was like 125 pounds. Now all of a sudden she's almost 300 pounds. And then if you say like, I'm not really that attracted to you, you're not allowed to say that anymore. And they don't even try. They don't shave their pussy. They don't do anything. And they don't even try to make themselves look sexy for you anymore. And when you call them out on it, they're like, well, I don't have to do that. That's, you're trying to be like part of the patriarchy, trying to make me stay relevant in our relationship, And then they're allowed to say like, you're not the same guy I married, when they spend their whole time in the relationship trying to get you to change and do things like do the dishes and do the laundry and do everything so that they can sit on their ass all day and watch fucking soap operas. And then they want to make you feel bad for it. They still want to make you feel like, oh, well, I'm fat now and you don't want to have sex with me and you're just fat shaming me and ooh, I want to cry. And then you end up having sex with them. And I feel that's kind of almost like raping somebody, because you're like guilting them into having sex with you. It'd be like sitting down with some woman and crying about stuff and then having her give you like a pity fuck. You know, and basically that's what a lot of marriages end up being when you end up with some fat, chubby fucking woman. That ends up being what you end up having. You end up having a lot of pity fucks.
Nightmare.
Oh, man, see, I did not miss dating when I dated chicks. I've only actually sexually been with two chicks. One of them sexually assaulted me, and the other one and fucking totally got away with it because no one gave a single fuck. Like I bet like, people have asked me why I have a sick sense of humor, and that is probably where that stems from. Because every time I mentioned it, I got laughed at. I was like, so I had to basically learn to fucking internalize it.
Well, you're trans. Well, you're trans, so you're a deviant.
Yeah, that too. Well, I wasn't always trans, so it's more recently. But yeah, when I mentioned this as a guy, fucking like other guys would laugh. In fact, it was actually a my best friend. She's a girl, but she fucking hates other women. She cannot stand them. She used to date women. She's like, nope, going back to the dick. Fuck this. She's like, she couldn't stand. She dated women for years because she believed all the lies about how men are fucking sex. They're just perverts. So she dated women. She's like, no, women are not only way pervier, but they are fucking entitled. She's like, I've got no time for that shit.
Well, the thing that I really don't like is a lot of guys just don't ever see it until you get into the situation where you're sitting with women and you see those little underhanded comments. You know, those little, like, they have these really horrible ways of cutting each other down and making each other, like, dropping them down a fucking peg. And they're just really snarky, narcissistic fucking comments that are just really underhanded to where a lot of the girls get so hurt they almost want to go into the bathroom and cry. And they're just so fucking horrible. They're just such nasty, narcissistic bitches. And then they want you to actually treat them like they're ladies and like they're wonderful. But most women do that kind of shit. And they're not kind to each other. And women are some of the most dirty, nasty, fucking narcissistic people on the fucking planet. And then they want you to act like they're great. And they're not.
Yeah, well, and then you say you meet someone like that is like that. How the fuck do you know? You know?
Yeah.
How do you know that they're actually genuine given the amount of women that aren't like that?
Well, that's the thing. They'll never show you that they're like that until they get the ring on their finger.
Yeah.
That's when they got you. That's when they got you.
And that's why I tell a lot, like, it's like even me, personally with relationships with women, I've never ever taken a woman serious. Hence why I just found myself, having multiple females. It was almost like a game of like musical chairs, and because I always, the reason was when I was younger, a lot of women, they used to tell me some fucked up shit about men. And I was like, Jesus, I can't be one of the, I can't end up being one of this guys. So I became like the milkman sort of archetype where I deliver the stuff, got a great body, great sense of humor, but I just don't take them seriously. And it's like a lot of my buddies now that are married, they're basically living lives of hell. And I just think to myself that when you were, you can never say, but I was lucky, maybe because, I was introduced to, when I was very sensitive as a young boy. But, I'm saying to them, like, how could you not learn from other people's mistakes, like, and then go into it thinking that you are some sort of an exception to the rule? I say to them, for you to sort of be in a positive relationship, you've got to have many years of reinforcements. It's like driving a car. Before you started driving a car, you had to have simulations. But none of these people ever thought to themselves of having a simulation. They go in there thinking, one of my childhood friends, unfortunately for him, but I've known this for years. The other day, he actually confessed to me that, they just recently got married, and he said his missus the other day just said to him, she doesn't find him attractive anymore, sexually attractive. I was like, he's number one. He shouldn't have got involved with the situation, but he has his own issues. But what are they? Well, I know what I would have done with that, but I see this is happening to a lot of men. And you imagine, like, you're 29 or you're 26 and you're married, and your woman's a narcissist, your mother's a narcissist, the whole fucking, the Kardashians. I mean, it's just proliferated, and you're not having women like what you've just said. You're not having a lot of women that are voicing out to saying this is not right. And what does that even say, that people like Karen Strong or whatever her name is are having to speak out for men? Well, I mean, and it's almost like you're not even being a man. That's even more demeaning, where a woman is having to speak out for you. You have not, and it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking.
I did a video on that not too long ago. The problem is women don't want men to have a voice. They don't want to have them, allow them to speak, because they have a lot of platitudes and a lot of things they will speak on, and a lot of bullshit studies that they've done. They do these studies where they'll go into a college class that's a gender studies class, and there might be 30 or 40 or even 100 students, and so lots of those are guys, and some of them are simps and white knights, but a lot of them aren't. They're just taking the class because they have to. And a lot of them are feminists, but a lot of them aren't. So maybe out of that 100 people in the class, 20 of them are feminists. So they do a study, and they ask them some very vague questions about gender, and they come up with, 68% of the class thinks this. But then they don't say that it's a college class. They say it's a study that was done. They don't say how many people were in the study, and they just say like 68% of women think this. And then they can go around and they can tout that study as some proof of some bullshit that they came up with. And then when you call them out on that, they get mad. And they never will give you the study or how it was conducted or what was the control group. They don't give you any of that shit. They just tell you that this study was done and it proves that, the patriarchy is real. This study proves that the gender pay gap is real. This study proves this. And if you look back and you find out how the study was conducted, it's always been made into a way where it makes their point provable. It's the equivalent of a WikiLink kind of mentality where they don't actually have real proof, and that's why they don't want men to have a platform to speak, because if they do, men don't work that way. Our minds don't work that way. So when we want to prove a point, we get real studies, real bullshit, and men have that. When they get up on a podium, they start talking, they start spitting truth, and that's not something that women like. Women don't want truth. They want to be able to play a shell game.
Definitely.
So they don't like that whole concept of like men are going to have a platform and they're going to make everything that we say look stupid, because we are in fact stupid. So we don't want them to speak at all, and that's basically where they're at right now.
You're stupid, therefore I'm right.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you can prove that, the first thing they do, that is just a typical technique that is always used. When they try to talk to you and they try to convince you that you're wrong, after a while, eventually they'll come and they'll say like, well, you're just a misogynist and you're just a woman hater and blah, blah. They don't actually have anything to say. And when they when they go to that point and they start just character assassinating you, that just means that everything that you've said is true and that they have no comebacks for it. And that basically just proves your point. As soon as a woman does that, just like that Canada Gin 3 the video I did on her, when you've seen the way she talked about it, she had no points to prove what I said was wrong, and all she started doing is just trying to character assassinate, because they have no points. And that's the first way for you as a man to realize what you've said has had an effect, because if they can't come back with some real bullshit to make what you've said, to have like a real conversation about something, if they can't come back with something real, that shows that what they had to say was complete bullshit, and you already have a leg up. And more guys need to realize that. More guys need to realize when you're having a conversation with a woman and you're throwing truth bombs out, and she starts telling you that you're a misogynist and you're a woman hater and you're an apologist and you're all this shit, instead of telling you why that what you said was wrong, and her just saying that you're just saying that because you're a misogynist, when they throw shit out like that, they have nothing to back that up, which more men need to realize that once they've done that, you've already won the conversation and you can stop talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because then you can just let them fucking hang themselves with their with more rope.
Yeah, when they start doing that, I'll be like, well, obviously I'm right, so I'm done talking now. You know, and that'll piss them off. That'll send them off the fucking deep end right there.
I mean, the simple remedy for that is just to say, so what's your point? Because you know, been many jousting, around people growing up, and people always trying to call out in London, taking a piss out of you. You know, it's all banter, as they say. So I'm saying, so what? And when you say that to a majority of people, yeah, I'm and that's just it, you see. And I don't know why a lot more guys don't have that. And, thank God amongst a lot of my friends, I'm the one that will stand up. And, a woman can never call me whatever. And if she did, so what?
Yeah.
And you've got to think for me. I know you have a think for me, but I'm not into you right now. Right now.
Well, they hate that shit too, boy. If they even fancy you a little bit, god damn it, you gotta fuck me. That's the way they are. Like if you think if I think you're cute, then you gotta fuck me tonight because I want it, and then after it happens, I'm gonna say you raped me. That's the way a lot of women are. They're just like, I'm a victim. Even though I'm the one that's being the aggressor, they're the aggressor entirely in life. And then they act like, no, I'm a victim.
Oh yeah, when I used to live in England, I used to go clubbing quite a bit. Mainly because I used to work at a club and I used to get free admission to most of the other clubs because they're all owned by the same guy. But one time I was out with my mates, and I lost them because fucking club atmosphere kind of gets hectic. And this fucking huge bitch, she must have easily been 300 pounds, maybe more. Not attractive, fucking greasy as fuck. She grabs me right now. I'm teeny tiny, right? At the time, I probably only weighed about 100, maybe 110 pounds at most. And I'm just a complete mismatch of body types. And she grabs me, and she grabs me very violently on my wrist and refuses to let go. And she starts like dancing up on me and shit. Now I'm trying to find my mates so I can fucking find out if they're alright, fucking see if they, how it gets in clubs. You can easily get into a fight. And so I'm just like, well, shit, I'm away from them. It could either happen to me or happen to them. And this bitch would not fucking let me go. And I actually had to end up fucking knocking her in her face because she was hurting me. I straight up fucking knocked her flat on her ass. It was the way I fucking did it though. It was fucking great. I knew the club pretty well. And she was grabbing my wrist, and she was grabbing so tight. I was like, "Hey, you fucking let go! You'll hurt me." She's like, "Yeah, you're gonna buy me a drink. You're gonna buy me a drink." Not asking me to buy her a drink, just telling me I'm gonna buy her a drink. I'm like, "Fuck you, you nasty bitch!" Not even with a stolen dick would I fucking wanna have anything to do with you.
No, you should come back. England misses you because this is what's going on now. It's becoming that, right? If you come in. Oh, you should come back.
This is like fucking, this shit's like fucking, like what? Like 10, 12 years ago, right?
You should come back, it's even worse. It's even worse now.
Last time I went back there, I got me a fucking life lesson, let me tell you. I don't think I can go back. But yeah, the way I got rid of her is like I said, I knocked her up. It's the way I did it because I'm so fucking small. What use am I against someone who's like 3 times my size? So I fucking I saw one of the bars in the distance across the nightclub. It's fucking huge. And I kind of just waved to with my free hand at someone. And I was like kind of acting like I was having a good time, right? And fucking someone over there was I recognized him. I was like, oh yeah. And I was pointing at me, right? And I fucking waved. And she turned around to see what I was doing. I was like, right now I fucking got you, bitch. So I fucking leaned all the way back, right? Pulled her fucking towards me, and then just fucking put my full force of my weight behind my fist and just fucking jumped into her face. Knocked her fucking out cold. I'm like, right. Now I'm gonna go fucking slink into the shadows, fucking Creed style.
Yeah.
Because since I'm so short, I managed to get away and just kind of fuck off before she managed to do something. Apparently, my mates were actually at that bar watching the whole fucking time, laughing their ass off. I'd be fucking dancing with this fat bitch. Like, I can't believe you fucking mashed her in the face. I was like, dude, I had no choice. What's my fucking shit? Did my wrist? She bruised the shit out of it. I was like, wow, man. Yeah, I wasn't even there to fucking meet girls. I was just there to hang out with mates. You know, I was like, I can't deal with that shit anymore. I go to, whenever I want to drink, I drink at home. I mean, I go to bars just to make sure my friends are okay.
What I would really like to see happen is I would really like to see them make colleges and bars and things like that are like safe spaces for women, where women can go hang out at them, and like all women colleges and stuff like that, and all boy colleges. If they went back to that again, women would basically not be able to get married anymore. Because that's basically what would end up happening. And you would see very few women go into college, because if women can't go into college and find a husband or a boyfriend to get knocked up by, they don't want to be in college anyways, because that's the only reason they're there.
And why I would agree with what you just said now is because a lot of the women I did go to college or the university with, you find them, I've got this degree, blah blah blah. Men and women are equal, blah blah blah. I'm gonna have a husband. What they started doing over here was they'll say all of that rubbish, and then you find them getting pregnant by some scrote. They all got by some ruffian, and they all started being on benefits. So I used to say to a couple of my young guys, I said, whatever happened to a few of your friends? She's got a baby, so she's a baby mama now. It's me. So what was all of this talk about her being intellectually forward, this whole, I'm a woman, hear me roar, but I'm not going to rip your head off. What happened to that? You see them now, 29, thrumping, looking run down. And I tell a lot of these guys have got to know that you are the value. The values, you are the value. These women, they've over-hypothecated their market value. There's more and more women now in society that are just like, dog-faced nutters. They don't sort of like hold themselves in high esteem. So if we go on the laws of economics, that would dictate that because something is so much in our society, the market value is low. That's the same thing with a lot of these women. Their market value is very low. And that's why a lot of these women are turning to, strong-arming a guy into kissing her. I mean, I love it. I absolutely love this because I'm in a great time. I'm in a great time to see all of this debauchery, all of this insanity take place. And there's going to have to be a reckoning, and I'm just so happy.
Well, the nice thing that you find is that in most schools and most colleges and in most cities, women are actually about 3-to-1 over men, which means that even if every woman on the planet got married, there would still be like 2/3 of the women on the planet that wouldn't be married. So there's not enough women to go around. So they try to inflate what their worth is. Like they're so, you should respect them, and I'm a woman, hear me roar, all this kind of bullshit. And that's why you see a lot of homewreckers as well, because there's not enough men to go around. And like I say, most of the women that graduate college can't find a husband anymore because there's not enough guys going to college. So you'll see more and more women are starting to not be able to find a husband, not be able to find guys. And it's gonna get worse and worse, but it's also kind of funny for us because more and more men are gonna start waking up to the realization. And the cool thing, like we always talk about here in Japan with the herbivore men, with the 70% population of herbivore men, most women in Japan can't find Japanese boyfriends or husbands. It's very rare. And although there is a lot of people in Japan getting married and having kids and stuff like that, a lot of people, just like when they talk about the transgender movement and stuff like that, a lot of people will point to those few people, 100,000 people this year or something that got married, to say that it's still, people still believe in marriage and still believe in it. But when you're looking at a culture of, like in Kobe last year, there was only like I think 1,001 children were born. You know, and you're talking about in Kobe, there's like 134 million or something like that in Kobe. So when you're looking at 134 million people and only 1,000 children were born,
I can tell you now that
that's nothing.
Japanese governments, they're going to be taking in more foreigners because of that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. They're wanting to bring. I'm thinking that they're actually talking about this. That they're thinking that the Japanese population will be completely gone by 2050. Mainly because
2050.
Yeah,
That's
because
like no time at all.
Yeah, because two-thirds of the population are going to be gone, because 2/3 of the population are going to be elderly and they're dying off. And as they're dying off, no kids are being born. So the culture is going to have these huge drops where basically, because this has been going on since 1976, so less and less people are getting married, less and less children are being born. So as the older people, the older generation drops off and they die, and people are committing suicide and all these things are happening, the culture is it's having these huge fluctuations where it's going down and down and down. Like every year we're losing, like 20 or 30,000 people, 100,000 people are dying, things like that. But you're only getting a few, like 50 or 60 or 100,000 people that are being born, So what we're having is a fluctuation of, you have to have a replacement of the same. You want to have an above replacement. So if one person's dying, you want like 2 people being born, that kind of thing, so you can grow your culture. But what's happening now is like for every 5 people that die, like 1 person is being born. So we're having this, like the economy, everything is tanking because of that. And eventually what's going to happen is no women are going to be able to find a husband unless it's somebody outside of Japan. And what that's going to do, all these white knight mangina simps that want to have an Asian girlfriend is going to come here to Japan, get married, have kids. Those kids are going to get married to each other, maybe, and have kids. And eventually the Japanese culture is going to be no more, because there isn't going to be anybody that's truly Japanese. They're all going to be mixed. And that's what they're talking, that's going to happen within the next 50 years.
Look at that.
And it's because they're fucking up their own culture.
The only thing I have to say to this is that sounds like your problem, Nego.
Exactly. That's your problem. That's not mine. I don't give a fuck, I'm just going to be teaching them. I don't care either way.
I tried to do my part, and look how much like shit I was treated. No, thank you. I'm done.
Yep.
Sounds like a smart individual, because and a lot of the times, that's why a lot of the times when we're talking about the UK and Germany and there's massive floods of immigrants coming over, well, if a lot of people knew about this whole thing about asset-backed securities and financial instruments, they'll know that what's happened is this whole idea of borrowing from the future to enjoy the present is what's leading to a lot of this stuff, hypothecation of financial instruments, derivatives to absorb amounts. You're going to have to, because in Japan, a lot more people are not having children, so they're still in the paradigm of having credit cards and forwarding credit from the future to pay off the now. And that's a lot of the documentaries I watch, saying that a lot of the elderly in Japan, I don't know if it's true, a lot of them are committing suicide. They're living in abject poverty. They don't spend time with their families. Who is going to pay for these people? The pension's already gone. We already, our generation, I'm just in my early 30s, I figured out in 2007 that there isn't any pension. You can forget about all that sort of stuff. So they're going to have to do that. And another problem about it is this: if you're having, this is another thing, if you're having a massive people coming into your country, do they sort of understand the values? And it seems that now, everyone has this leftist, well, not everyone, but majority of people try this leftist ideology to, you can't say anything, you know, only God can judge me, I can do whatever the hell I want, you know, the golden uterus shines supreme amongst all. So people just come into a country, not really hold the ideas. And as you're saying, by 2050, that's just basically a pebble throw away.
Yeah.
That's just... That's
a lot of people don't realize how bad it's going to get. This may not even be a big deal, because I'm always talking. A lot of people have this idea that climate change isn't real and all this stuff, and they don't realize that storms are getting worse. They're talking that we only have 53 years of fossil fuels left, of oil and gas. So we're using them at such a rate, and that's at the rate that we're using them right now. I mean, they're going to continue to, you know, increase because they keep making cars. People are still being born. People are wanting more cars, these kind of things. So we're going to run out in the next 53 years. We're going to run out of oil. They're saying right now at the current rate of CO2 emissions that we're going to have a 16-foot sea level rise in the next 50 years. So California's gone. Florida's gone. Boston's gone. New York is gone. Louisiana is gone. A lot of places are going to be gone. Not only on top of that, you're going to also have problems with climates are going to start changing. They're talking about the coral reefs are going to die, because if you get a sea level rise and you get a desalinization of the ocean, and you also get a 2 degrees Celsius rise in the temperature, a lot of the sea life will not be able to survive, and you're going to have the coral reefs die. Now, if the coral reefs die, that's where all the life in the sea is living at. But on top of that, they're saying right now, the scientists are estimating that in 23 years, the sea will be devoid of life. So we're overfishing. There's so much crap in the ocean, and so much problems. You're having things like, we're seeing a lot of problems even right now. We're talking 23 years they're talking about, but right now we're seeing stuff like great white sharks and stuff beaching themselves, and nobody seems to know why. There's like whole schools of dolphins that are beaching themselves. And it's partly due, I believe, to the fact that the ocean is getting so inhospitable to animals to live that they want to jump out of the fucking water. You know? And that's basically where we're at right now. We're fishing so much in the and we're throwing so much crap into the ocean that these fish don't even have anything that's decent to eat. And they're actually dying. They're dying off. And we're going to see all this happen within the next 50 years. There's going to be so much problems. And it's going to get bad, real bad. And I think that people just don't realize what's coming. And they want to have these rosy glasses and act like everything's going to be just fine. It's just going to go along. They don't realize it's coming to an end. And it's coming to an end quick. And if you don't start preparing and start making plans, there's going to be no food. You know, we're going to start having droughts. In places where it used to have rain, it's going to have a drought. In places where they used to have a drought, it's going to be raining. They're going to have tsunamis. They're going to have all these, you know, these crazy storms. It's going to get bad, and it's not going to be a fucking joke. And in many places in the southern hemispheres, it's already happening. There's villages that have had a sea level rise of 5 miles. There's a city that they actually had to close the whole country down. It was a ocean place where everybody would go for visits and, you know, take sea rides and boats down there and shit like that. And it was a tropical paradise. And in that place, everybody has had to actually migrate to other places because they had a 5-mile sea level rise. The sea actually came all the way up into their town. You know, and this is what we have to look forward to, and it's going to get worse and worse, and it's sneaking up on everybody. And the thing is if we can do something now, it's still not going to change the 16-foot sea level rise, because a lot of people don't realize that the environment that we're living in right now, it takes the Earth 25 years to get to to where, we are. So we are actually living right now with what we've done in 1991. So we don't know if the scale has already tipped. We may not be able to do anything. I mean, it may be in the next 5 or 10 years that something really crazy goes on, that the entire environment on the planet just fucks itself off. And we might have already got to that point, but we don't know. Because we haven't even got to the point right now where Saddam Hussein decided to burn the fucking oil wells in Iraq, and they were burning for months and months. We haven't even got to that destruction of the environment yet. So we don't know what's really going to happen in our environment, and how bad it's really going to get. And people just want to act like, oh, it's all bullshit, it's not going to happen. But 97% of all scientists agree, and there's only like 28 scientists that are paid off to say that it's not the case. And we want to live on our laurels and act like this isn't going to happen. But the problem that I have with it is the people that do this with everything in life, when they say, well, I don't believe it's true because there's these studies that say it's not true. Like I'm a vegan. These people that say like eating meat's good for you. Well, I look at it like this. If you can do something to improve the environment, to improve your health, even if there's no proof that it's going to be the case, what if it is? If there's really no climate change and you do a bunch of stuff that creates jobs, that makes life better, that creates electric cars and wind and solar and all these things, and you start doing that now, what would that harm? Would that not improve the environment? But if you do nothing, what is that going to do? Because if it is true and you do nothing, you've just destroyed society. So I would rather do something, even if it's not true, than to do nothing and have it become true. Because if you've done nothing and you haven't prepared and something happens, you're going to be dead. So I would rather start trying to come up with alternative sources of energy and try to make electric cars the reality, and try to get all this stuff happening now before you have to do it like on a fucking like quick, before things are like everything goes to shit and you're like, oh shit, we got to do something right now. And it's like, well, motherfucker, you had 25 years to come up with this shit. You wanted to make all these billions of dollars off oil and gas and rape the environment, and then now that everything's fucked up in your own family, your own kids, your own family that you were trying to make all these billions of dollars to give all that money to, doesn't have a life. There's no fresh water, there's no food, there's nothing for them to eat, and now you're the fucking asshole, and now you want to do something. That to me is the stupidest thing that you can do. I would rather do something now. And a lot of these people need to realize this shit and stop fucking living on their laurels and acting like it's never going to happen. Like, oh, climate change is bullshit. Not from what all the scientists are saying. Like I say, 97% of scientists are saying that right now we're looking at a 16-foot sea level rise. Now, when you're talking about 16-foot sea level rise and the tide comes in, you're talking about 22 to 25 feet. Now, if you look at any area, that means the water where I'm living at right now, the water is going to be up to my house where I'm living at now. And I'm like 5 miles from the ocean, So, I mean, it's going to destroy entire environments. Half of Japan will be gone. Okinawa will be completely underwater, So, I mean, you're going to have this huge migration of people moving to places, and they won't even have food. There won't be any food for them to eat when they get there.
See, I'm glad that I get to fucking have my dream of getting to see the apocalypse. It's gonna be fucking glorious. Everyone's freaking the fuck out, and I'm just gonna be like, I know I'm fucked, but this is what I was waiting for.
Yeah. I just want to see the girls. The girls will just be like the rest of the guys. Any guys that are left over will be able to like make houses and live and hunt and grow food. They'll find places to live, and everybody, all these fucking loser mangina simps that try to live off of helping women do everything, they'll all die off because they don't know how to fucking live anymore. They don't know how to survive. So there'll be all these really cool guys that'll be left over, and all the women that will hang out with them. But there will be a lot of women that will be these fucking women that hang off the guys, trying to get them to do everything for them and grow them food and make shit for them. And a lot of guys will get to the point where they'll be like, bitch, get the fuck out of here. I got this other girl that's actually helping me. You're just fucking hindering me. You're trying to live off me and use me. Fuck you. Get away.
And then we'll have an actual fucking patriarchy.
Yeah.
Patriarchy once again.
Exactly. That's what'll end up happening. And they don't realize patriarchy is why we have what we got. The reason why we are where we are is patriarchy. And that's, if we didn't have patriarchy, we'd still be living in the dark ages.
Yep. Well, there's those tribes of that are ruled by women, like in the middle of fucking nowhere. They're still living in before the Stone Age.
Yeah.
They're stuck in time. They don't even have. They don't even know how to weave fucking materials and shit. They live. Mud houses are like fucking new technology to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you compare fucking similar tribes run by men in the same similar location. And they may not have the fucking the modern fucking shit now because just due to either a variety of circumstances. But they're at least better off. They may have an equivalent technology level, but at least they live in comfort for what they can do. They're sustainable. Man, that's why this talk is actually kind of why I'm learning how to I'm getting all my hunting training done. I wanted to get a crossbow for the longest time, just because you can make crossbow bolts if you know what you're fucking doing. Yeah. But you can't easily make gunpowder and bullets unless you know what the fuck you're doing. It requires more technical thing. There's other reasons why I want a crossbow as well. But
for me, if I was going to do something, I would do something that you can have something that will last, like making. What do they call those things? The slingshot?
Oh, yeah.
Because you can just pick a rock up off the ground and use a slingshot. But for me, I'm a vegan. So if you're a vegan or you want to be able to actually find things that you may be able to eat, because you might not realize that a lot of the animals that will be left when the fucking shit goes south might not be edible.
Sure, no, that's absolutely true. Well, I'm more or less thinking about hunting the greatest game of all to keep them away from my farm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, if you can get a book and start reading and reading about herbiculture and horticulture and all these kind of things and like natural plants that are edible, like get Native American books on agriculture and roots and plants that they eat and all that kind of stuff, and you can study that stuff and go out in the environment where you live and find those things and find out what they are, learn how to prepare them, see what they taste like, find out what their chemical abilities are, what's their nutritional values, things like that. If you can get all that stuff done now, eventually when this stuff happens, you'll actually be prepared, and everybody else will be starving to death, and you'll be walking out in the fucking forest and grabbing food. You'll be getting fucking mushrooms.
Shit, this would be awesome. Just getting them alive.
Yeah.
This is why I'm a scary motherfucker. Don't mess with me.
Yeah. It'll be great, and that's basically what needs to happen. A lot of people need to realize that this isn't fiction. This isn't a Mad Max movie. It's coming. It's not a question of if, it's when, and it's basically what we're looking at right now is in our lifetime. I'm going to be 43 next month, and we're talking in 50 years, which means I'll be about 90 years old, but before I'm 90 years old, this could all go to shit before that. It could be when I'm 70. All this shit will go to shit. So if you know how to survive and you know how to eat off the land and you know how to build your own house and all that stuff, you're gonna need to know that because it's coming.
Thing is, I'll find me a nice handsome man to fucking take care of me. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What I have a hard time with is a lot of countries just like in Japan, a lot of countries are their electrical systems are set up off of what everybody. There's all these people, like Thunderfoot and all these guys that talk about the nuclear power plants, how great they are. The problem is there's so much like waste that comes off of those.
Yes.
And we don't have any way to dispose of that waste. So in perpetuity, we have to train nuclear people to stand there and take care of the waste so that it doesn't leak into the environment for 10,000 years. That's how long it's going to take for that stuff to dissipate. So
Absolutely.
For 10,000 years, we have to worry about whether that shit's going to leak into the environment. But the problem is when sea levels rise, most of our electrical plants are along the outskirts of cities, like in New York. We have nuclear plants in New York that are right off the ocean, which means they're going to get flooded in the next 20 years, So with 16-foot sea level rises, those are going to be underwater, which means they're not going to be producing electricity anymore. And once they blow up, they're going to be exactly like fucking Chernobyl. They're going to be exactly like Fukushima. And you're going to end up destroying not only the environment around them and irradiating it, which means half of New York will be underwater and nuclear, they'll be irradiated, but you're also going to destroy the ocean as well, because those environments are going to get irradiated just like they are in Japan, So you're going to end up with fish with 3 feet on them, So, I mean, a lot of shit is going on, and people, when they talk about climate change and you say something like, the sea level rise or something like that, they're like, so what? I'll just move in town. I'll move further in. I'll move to Montana or something like that. And they don't realize, it's not just that. There's so much more to it. There's the tornadoes and the cyclones and the this year we've had a record number of typhoons, and we actually had the highest typhoon on record, the one that came from a really strange angle. Even it came from the west to the east, and hit in California, or it hit in New Mexico a few months ago, and they only thought the typhoon scale only goes up to 8, and this was an 8.3. They never even thought it could get that high, and they said that the winds were 210 miles an hour, which they never even thought that could happen, And what's really weird is just in the last few weeks, we had a storm here, and I really wish I could have. I really wish I could have videoed it. I was going to get up my video camera and do it, but it would happen at 10 o'clock at night, and I was sleeping. There was these crazy lightnings where it was a lightning bolt, and then immediately after the lightning, I heard the thunder. And it wasn't just a clap of thunder and then it went away. This thunder went on for 45 seconds, and it was just this huge, massive thing. I've never heard anything like that in my entire life. And then what was really funny, I watch a YouTube doer, video person that's actually friends with Fun for Louie, and she did a video in Miami just the other day, and that same storm, I think, ended up in Miami, and it had the same thunder and lightning. And she even said it was the craziest thing she's ever heard. She's never heard anything like that. And this is, I think, what's going to end up happening. We're going to have more thunderstorms, more severe flooding. We're going to have erosion, crop erosion. You'll plant crops and nothing will grow because it'll be so fucked up, And then when you live in Montana and there's a fucking 6 tornadoes that go through in a week, people just don't understand the devastation that's going to be coming.
Okay, so all right, I got a question then. So which one's it going to be? Is it going to be fucking everyone going underground, or we're going to build fucking sea domes? Which one?
Well, that's the thing. I think if they go underground, you're probably going to get flooded out. If you build sea domes, the ocean is going to be uninhabitable, and it's going to be toxic. And if you're living out there, you're going to die as well. You know,
Oh,
you're
damn,
not going to be
Sarah.
able. Yeah, you're not. It's going to be to the point where basically we're coming to a time, I believe, in the next 100 years, definitely, where the human population, unless it leaves this planet, is going to be doomed. We're gone. You know,
But,
we've already
I-
fucked
I-
up the planet so much that
I saw a documentary, possibly maybe about 10 years ago, that said that Japan already growing sort of like under underwater or under the ground sort of like cities. I don't know if that was true, because you know now, like a lot of these documentaries that these people make seem to be some sort of a sort of, I don't know, some sort of like MK Ultra mind trip idea. So it's like you just think to yourself, you know, I mean, what you're saying is very, very important, but the world full of narcissistic women or manginas, they can just about, you know, they're more interested in contouring,
Yep.
you know, more interested in contouring or some other sort of thing than actually getting off their asses and learning how to forage and all of these things. I mean,
well, that's the thing that I think is going to be great is as the society falls and as things start becoming more dire, people will start not giving them a platform because they won't care what they have to say. When like all the people that put their money into gold, when you get to a point where you just want some water and food and a warm place to stay for the night, nobody's going to give a fuck about your fucking gold. You know?
What does gold do for you? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
what they're going to say is, do you got a chicken? You know, you can stay here for the night if you got a chicken, so I can make dinner.
it's
You
funny
know?
you should say that. It's funny you should say that. When I was doing my studying, you know, law and everything like that, I used to read a lot of treatises. And there was this, I don't know if it's still on my laptop, there's this treatise that I read, and it was made like possibly in the early 1900s. And it was saying how the individual that wrote it was basically saying how even then they discovered that you can extract gold from anything. Water, air particles, anything that you sand, that you can extract the building blocks of gold from anything. And then they further on stated to say, gold, water. But how did they phrase it? Phrase it as, you're going to have more problems getting water, or water's going to go out before gold than any other precious metal ever does. And when I read that about 4 or 5 years ago, I went, wow. Because those treatises of those times, you know, not just any Tom, Dick and Harry who spent about 5 years writing a treatise, actually getting their facts right and all of this sort of stuff. And it made me think, so all of this talk about precious metals, as you're right, I used to buy a lot of silver years ago. And then, you know, a few of my friends, you know, should I buy gold and silver? I said, well, just look at it this way. When you haven't got any food, you're not going to be able to eat that silver coin. Or
Exactly.
and
nobody's going to give you anything for it. Nobody's going to want to buy your fucking quarter so that and give you something that you can eat. You know,
most people don't even know about it.
Yeah, this is why bartering systems were so popular for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because you get something of value that's valuable to you. So the
yeah,
deal
like their
is-
daughter for a couple of pigs.
Well,
Yeah,
exactly.
You can get one pig for 2 more, right?
That's funny.
But it's funny. It's funny how, like, you know, I've studied up in the United Nations and all of this sort of stuff as well. It's funny how they talk about how, you know, human trafficking is it's a crime, you know, blah blah blah. But then when you look at the court systems in America, when you look at the, you know, job systems, when you look at every other system, it is predicated on human trafficking. So it's like, you know, these are the funny things about this whole ideas of gold, this whole ideas of, you know, you can't go back to bartering. Oh my God, it's just an archaic way. No. It's not an archaic way. It's a way that works when, you know, if I want to, let's say, if I want a table made or I want something, you know how to do it. And, like, you know, what do I have that you might be interested in? I've got a bottle of rum. You might not have any rum. Oh yeah, you know, I'll swap 3 hours of your labor.
Yeah. Well, what's really cool is the reason why that works is it's usually not something like that ends up happening. It's like somebody has something they want and somebody else has something they want. And like, I don't know how to fix this guy's roof, you know, but he has this thing that I want. And then this other friend has something that I can do for them, for that person to get something. And it becomes like this really quickly escalating thing where like I'm doing something for somebody else that actually somebody else's friend of somebody else wants done, so that I can get something from that person. And there's somebody that wants something from me, and I'm part of that, of what I'm doing is actually helping that person as well. So it becomes like this whole society of like people helping each other, and in some cases not even knowing it, just so that the society can succeed. And that's what needs to end up happening. And money will have nothing to do with that. Fucking paper. Nobody's going to give a fuck about some paper.
But have you noticed it's happening right now? Like, you know, with open source technology, with software, it's like more and more people, even on YouTube, the conversations that we're having now, it's like it's almost like a natural thing where people just, you know, progressing. It's not even a devolvement. It's like a natural progression to say, do you know what, the information is what it's needed. So I'm gonna do content, you're gonna do content, we're gonna talk about these things, we're gonna start doing open source stuff, because more and more people feel that the trans, you know, if it's true that, you know, the ones before us, the what do you call them, prehistoric man died out because, you know, if that's true, who knows, but if it's true that prehistoric man died out because they didn't pass information amongst each other, then, you know, this is the same sort of thing with, you know, feminism or any sort of group of people. You know, I mean, Japan is a great example. You know, even though they got to the height of, you know, technology and all of this sort of stuff, but then when it came to the fundamentals of actually, like, you know, knowing about these things and having the right information so that your economy and so your people will flourish, it seems that they failed in that side. So I'm actually seeing it now that a lot more people, men, as per usual, are getting together virtually and passing information with each other, because they know that where else, you know, if we don't have this information, we're all going to die out.
Exactly.
You know, and
well, so many of them here are like living at home with their parents, and they might be like computer programmers where they're building things, or they're working for Toyota and they're actually designers and stuff like this. But they'll actually be like living at home with their parents, eating ramen noodles. They wear like 2 different color socks. You know, their actual way of living is very childlike. You know, so they're very smart, but it's kind of like they're very smart in one way. You know, and they don't know how to survive past that. And you know, for like the environment that we're living in right now, one way to show how it's getting ready to go is a lot of millennials are getting into Bitcoin, you know, and people are starting to realize the complete lack of value of money, and people are starting to basically barter with Bitcoin, and they're actually able to buy things off Amazon, and people are starting to do stuff like that. But also,
I've seen there's a restaurant that it's like a restaurant bar that's right below my office, and they accept Bitcoins.
Yeah,
it's like holy shit, it's becoming mainstream now.
Yeah, well, that's what's happening. More people are starting to realize that this gold and silver and all this stuff isn't really working, and Bitcoin is kind of like a barter system. You know, so you're basically going to end up watching people more and more start to realize that the paper doesn't have really any value. You know,
it's funny.
And it also doesn't have anything backing it up, because if you look at the way the banking system works, if you go to a bank and you ask them for, you know, $100,000, all they do is type into a computer, and they say, okay, there's $100,000 in your account now. And then you go out and you work your ass off, and you have to pay the bank back, but you don't pay the bank back $100,000. You pay them back $140,000. So the money that you're paying back is real. The money they gave you is fake. It came out of nothing. They just gave you a line of credit. So it's basically the entire system is built on fake, on nothing. And what people need to realize is that that's not a way to have a society, and you're not going to improve society by doing that. All you're going to do is make rich people richer. And once people start to realize that, which won't take long, like I say, this is going to happen in the next 50 years. When stuff gets real bad, people are going to be like, fuck a bank. I don't need a bank.
I was actually seeing something, having this conversation yesterday about people getting pissed off. So about rich people was, you know what's going on in England, right? With like their government and shit. I only know a little bit. Someone was saying there was a local government that was actually trying to charge like elderly people like a premium to basically come over, and if they fall over, they have like basically like life alert. You know, fucking, whereas if you fall over and can't get up and you press the fucking thing and they come over, well, they charge like the elderly an extra premium on top of what they already pay for basic services. And it's just like this is just one example of how they have been fucking people over. And basically the rulers of the country was David Cameron, his fucking pig head fucking assholes, as they've been described as by the person I was talking to. Basically, doing this because they're not exclusively doing it, of course not. But fucking,
he was just preparing for when he got married. That's all.
Yeah, because I get where you're coming, but what I know about that is when I studied financial instruments and generally accepted accounting principles, and what I saw was that insurance is the biggest Ponzi going, and plus when you have the fact that there are no pensions. I know people that are OAPs, they're barely making it. A lot of more people are returning back home because the jobs are not there. So it's like, it's funny. That's just a natural thing to do, because this bailing, this whole thing about bailings, and you actually, even now, you having money in the bank, they're charging you a certain amount. Most banks, most high street banks around where I live, like Bexley, like they're shutting. So you can see that is a natural, is a natural turn for them to start, seizing people's like monies or whatever in the banks. But going back to what you both were talking about, things like Bitcoin, it's funny how like people are reverting to something like Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, that in itself doesn't exist anywhere apart from virtually, instead of them just going back to the old traditional bartering. It's just weird, because if you look at it, what money is, intrinsic value has got to be backed by this, but money is actually backed by the sweat and labor of the people in the country per capita, and then that is used to forward loans to the future. This is why we have the problems that we have now, because no one's gonna, there's not enough jobs because of the offshoring of businesses. But then you look at it as money is meant to, so a dollar, supposedly a dollar is a metric ton for weighing something. The pound is for silver because it's pound sterling. So when you have a situation where most people now, instead of them to sort of like say, do you know what, forget silver, forget, a paper with some dead guy on it, blah, 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 let's just go back to bartering. What's even happening now is the next form of that is where Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is being used as a means of an exchange. But that's like a magic trick, because it's do you see where I'm coming from? I mean, money was bad enough, a paper that's not backed by anything, but instead of people just to say, we're just going to go back to bartering, the next thing is Bitcoin, which it could be viable. We don't, probably to a certain extent, but still people should just say, because money, the best definition of money I like is trust. It's trust, you've got to have trust. My word is my bond. I promise I'll do this. Promise to pay the bearer, blah, blah, the sum of whatever. So it's like the restaurant below your workplace should be, because people still have a thing with each other, you should be able to go in there and say, do you know what, I want this meal, you can come to my house next week, I'll prepare you a nice cake, or, I have this pig, and blah, blah, blah. Because eventually, with Bitcoin, even I'm starting to get into it and everything, there's going to be a point where, if it's true that you're going to have these massive sort of electric cutouts and all the computers will be, the worst case scenario, people are not going to have their Bitcoin, they're not going to have their cash, they're not going to have their gold or silver. All they're going to have is what they can do
Yep. And that's the problem that you're going to find. That's what's really going to be cool, because there's going to be a huge wake-up call, because a lot of women are going to realize, and these mangina simps are going to realize they have nothing to offer. You know, when your entire life has been pushing papers around an office and the shit goes down and hits the fan, and you've been living in a city your entire life, and you don't know how to grow vegetables, and you don't know how to grow food, you don't know how to hunt, you don't know how to build a house on your own, you don't know how to like make your own fireplace and make your own fire pit to cook food, and you don't know how to do any of these things to actually survive and live, you're going to die out, and you're going to start looking around for men that know how to do it. And that's why some men will actually be able to stop white knighting and like go find some guy and be like, look, you're good at this, can you teach me? And those guys will actually survive. But the guys that are white knight simps will go try to hang out with women, and those women will realize that those guys are losers, and eventually those women will die off. Both of them will die off, and the ones that are smart enough, the women that are smart enough, will start to hang out with the guys that really know what they do, and they'll go back to a patriarchy. The patriarchy that they think exists, which never did. The patriarchy has always only existed for the rich. The people that were controlling everybody else, the guys that worked and did all the labor, they've never been in a patriarchy. You know?
Well said. Well said. A lot of people don't realize that, and I'm happy you said that, because it's almost like an elusive obvious.
Yep.
Where this idea, well said. But yeah, gentlemen, are you going to do this again next week? Or
yeah, I do it every Saturday at 11. I usually send out the invites at 10:30 my time, and then I go live usually around 11. So it's like 2:00 a.m. right now here.
Bro, next week, let's do it again. I've got a meeting up an old friend, going out to we're going to watch Star Trek. I mean, Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah,
cool.
We'll see how that goes.
Okay.
It was fantastic, gentlemen. It was really my pleasure speaking to you both. Awesome conversation. And have a great week. And hopefully we can be next weekend.
Yeah, sounds good.
Be well. Take care.
Yep.
Thank you. I actually won't be around next weekend because I will be in Oklahoma home with my mom.
Okay.
Happy trip.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I was actually arranging the shuttle to the airport during this whole thing.